The Z to Z Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Fream, and thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. We totally recommend you come and visit our website, z2z.com. You can find show notes, links to things we talk about on this show. This is episode 77. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter at Z2Z, over at our forums, forum.z2z.com, or email us directly, contact@z2z.com. Tonight, I've got two co-hosts with me. Tarragon's back on the show. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I've had a rough couple of weeks, but I'm all right now.
Hey, you just got to get back on the horse, right? Talking about video games, having some fun. We're so excited to have you back. It should be a great show. And, of course, we've got Proulx with us. How are you doing, Proulx?
I'm doing great. I'm having a great time.
Brilliant. So I want to start off. I've got there's so much going on right now that we've just got a ton of stuff to talk about. But I want to start off with one of the big topics from last week's show, episode 77, Pepsi Fire. So I was at my niece's wedding shower, or her bridal shower, or whatever that is, couples thing, and they had Pepsi Fire there. And now, I don't drink soda anymore, but come on, I had to make an exception for this. It actually is pretty good. I thought it would be more cinnamony than it was, but it was nice, and maybe it's because I don't have soda anymore, and so like the pure sugar that I just typically not used to has invigorated me to a point of ecstasy. Like, high fructose corn syrup, yes. Just put it in my veins.
Give me more.
So maybe that had heightened my experience a little bit, but I want to throw that out there. I tried Crystal Pepsi. Now I'm with Randy in the sense that one was good. I don't necessarily need any more, so we'll leave it at that. Yet one more Pepsi aficionado, and I don't even like Pepsi, but there you go, Pepsi Fire on the table. The other thing I want to mention is, and this is in regards to kind of the show in general, and so with. Tarragon and I and Proulx have had lots of discussions, and ultimately what's going to end up happening with the show is the Discord chat. We are officially going to close the Discord chat, and everything's going to go effective on June 9th. So those website links that we've had in the past, you'll be redirected to a landing page, and they'll say, here's what's going on. It's just too hard for us to manage. Tarragon and I and Proulx and everyone that's a member of the show, we just can't keep that thing under control and painting a good light on the podcast. So we're going to focus on what we do best. The audio part of the show, this podcast, and our forums, where we have our contests and all of the fun things that we do focusing on achievements. The chat was awesome, but it's just too much of a headache. And so, there'll be lots of notes and things you can see in the current chat leading up to that point, and there'll be other ways to interact with us and find us everywhere. But that's happening June 9th on Friday. But, like I said, we've got our forums. It's a new month. It's June. Oh, my goodness. So many awesome things happening in the community, like the random to-do list. The new Gamertag challenge is in effect. And if you haven't been to True Achievements yet, True Achievements and the Z to Z podcast, we're both running an A to Z challenge. Now, to be fair, I know I am on the community events team, but I had my A to Z challenge in there first. I had this planned a long time ago, and it may have coordinated that they happened at the same time, but to be honest, True Achievements was supposed to happen a month ago. I'm not much of a coder, so I had to wait for Rich. And so, but if you haven't participated in the True Achievements version of it, you totally should. It is awesome. Him and Jack have done some really great coding and made it a super cool contest. So start there, and all of your credit from there will go to the Z to Z part of the show.
Yeah,
Finally,
I've got to mention that some of our community members have actually already completed that.
Yeah,
like, Real
that's
B has already
crazy.
done it. I think he got first.
On the
Stu has done
leaderboard.
it. I know Planting has done it. It's people were doing it on day one and going through their entire 26 really quick.
Guys,
Yeah.
I'm on
Which
F.
is
You're on M?
F.
F.
These
Anyway,
guys are
that's a
done.
good
I'm
start.
on F. How
Yeah.
are they
I'm
done
on-
already?
I unlocked A. I got my A
okay.
last night, so
I'm up to E. I should be done, and by next week's show I'll definitely be done. But
I spent all of June 1st, and I mean, I don't want to say where I was doing all this planning, but let's just say I was in front of a computer, and I spent a huge portion of my day mapping out my entire month of June in terms of random to-do list, correlating with the A to Z challenge for both contests, and ensuring that I get enough letters to do the Gamertag challenge. And the way it's mapped out right now, given my other, commitments, other boosting sessions and things, it will come down to the wire on the 25th of June, where I need to make sure I log in the morning of the 25th or 6th, or whenever the thing ends, to unlock my Z achievement in Plants vs. Zombies. Like, that's where this thing is falling, just given my gaming time. It was super fun.
Dude, you seriously need more free time. That's like, if you're getting a spreadsheet out to work out how you're going to fit all these particular criteria of things that are meant to be fun.
And to be honest,
you're
And
overmanaging.
I was going to create a shared Google Doc so that I could show this to people on what my plan is. Because inherently I want completions too. So it's like I'm looking at these games and it's like, okay, well, it's my Saturday night. I got a lot more gaming time, so I'm going to focus on, I'm going to try to beat this game, get the completion here, and then I'm going to wrap this one up and move to here and do this. And I got to make sure, so like this month for Giant Hunger, right, is the Gamertag challenge. There's a U in there,
yep.
And I've left the last 2 achievements in unmechanical for finishing that extended session. Well, it just so happens that you could do a quick save and do both. And the first one where you save yourself,
Yes.
or whatever.
Spoilers. Shh, spoilers.
That one starts with an R, and then the other choice you make starts with an S. And so it's like, okay, well, I got to do this one first, and then I'll go back, reload, and I'll do this one, and that'll be my S, and that'll be a game completion, and it'll be my U. So it's like, okay, that's all falling into place now. To be honest, planning it was almost as fun as playing the games.
I've got the exact opposite approach where I just look at my list now that if the True Achievements have that sort, like find all the valid achievements that you've got, and just give it by the letter, sort by ratio. I think I was... During my Elite session on Thursday, I was just looking at it going, okay, what can I do on Windows while I'm waiting for people to finish the round in Elite whilst I'm not doing anything? And literally I dived 3 games and just got the first 2 or 3 achievements in it just to get one of those letters. It's just But it's the benefit of having a huge collection of available achievements is that it's really not difficult to find low ratio letters for that stuff. Speaking of the Gamertag challenge, though, as an announcement on that, I have been working on a scanner for that for the last little while. And due to some work with Planting and the GTASC around some of the alphabet challenges or the true achievements or gankers, the not ones where you had to unlock achievements for games and that sort of stuff, taking the work I'd done from that, I now have a working Gamertag challenge scanner.
Which is awesome.
So what that means for people now going for the Gamertag challenge is that all they need to do is post in the forum that they are done, and I can check them without having to get the full list of achievements that they've unlocked and that sort of stuff. So it makes submitting your attempt much simpler. So that should hopefully allow some people who might have been put off with the administrative side of that to get more involved. So I've still got to do a little bit of work around it with Gamertags that have digits in them. There's a few sort of edge cases I got to deal with on that. But
the quirks.
Yeah, it's more just that the way it will select there is that it might select a game with a number in it which needs to be retained for a letter. And if I select it out and abolish that game from the list first, then it won't be applied later, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Whereas there will be more common, it's more common that you'll have a game with a number in it, so it needs to not pick the first available, it needs to kind of pick all the letters first and then use the remainder for the digits. Anyway,
like NCAA 2007 or something. It would take N over the number. Yeah.
Well, it would actually take the number instead of the N. And,
because it's alphanumeric.
So it'll choose that for the digit and then fail on the N. Whereas you might have 5 games that have numbers in them that you prefer to use, and if you're failing on the N for no reason, anyway, it's something I'm aware of. I just need to tweak that. We don't actually have any gamer tags with numbers in them for the next month or two. I don't think anyway.
Or certainly not next month either.
Yeah, so it's not an issue right now. But anyway, it's working. I've done some test runs of it already, and it's been working great.
That's awesome. It can't get much easier than just saying, I did it.
Yep.
Posting it in
I've got a question for you.
What's up, Proulx?
You said you were in front of a computer. You said you didn't want to necessarily specify where you were, but if I could throw out a guess, were you at a local public library, perhaps?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's the Wi-Fi I was using.
Yeah, all right. I was just curious.
So this I hope isn't a normal segment, but it appears as though we've got a few corrections that need to be made, and I'm terribly sorry about my inability to recollect. I should have just looked it up, but I erroneously mentioned during the Titanfall recap for the UKers, and I mistakenly subbed in a different gamer for the 5th person, so apologies to Keith 271179 for leaving him off the list. Mr. Costi is part of a GTA SC team with Fug, and that was stuck in my head. So the 5 Gen 10ers are Angel SK, Mick Lovin, Legend, Buck Marley, Tatey, and Keith 271179. So congratulations to you 5. Nice work.
And an honourable mention for Nerve Bullet, who would have been there as well, but has had some health issues that's kind of held him back from that.
Yeah, he's back in the States now.
Yeah, he's very close, and he shouldn't be too far behind the rest of that crew. So kudos.
Absolutely. More updates. Well, maybe not even updates, but Tarragon, you certainly had some things to say about editing the show last week. I feel like... like when you have the presidential debates and the fact checker comes on and is like, okay, who's full of crap out there? Here it is.
I was just... I was listening to the podcast back as I was editing and going, what? No! I made quite a few notes. So I'll just go through them. Yeah. Well, firstly, you talked about Get Even being delayed, and Crandy was sort of hinting that maybe they used the Manchester bombing as an excuse to delay the game, which was extremely cynical and
obscene.
I didn't particularly agree with that. But Get Even was actually specifically delayed because it features a segment with a child that has a bomb strapped to them, and there's a bit you've got to work through on that. And for obvious reasons, releasing a game with a child that has a bomb strapped to them just after a bunch of children have been bombed in an arena is probably not the best thing to do. So that's the reason they delayed it, and that seems like a perfectly legitimate reason to delay it. And I don't think there's any chance that it was used as an excuse.
Totally agree.
The Xbox 360 stuff, I think, Fream, you sort of mentioned this in passing, and it seemed like you were suggesting that the PS3 was the winner of that generation, and I kind of beg to differ.
Yeah, I think my wording was wrong. Ultimately, what I was saying is it was based on momentum, that they had built up a lot of momentum on the home stretch, which I think carried them into the 4, and of course, the way they came out of the gate with PS4 just blew them out of the water. Yeah. But I listened back to the show, and I could see, after reading your comments, I could see where maybe I chose words that implied that, you know, the PS3 actually outgained the 360, and it didn't.
Yeah.
But
I think it caught up and maybe took over right at the end of the generation. But certainly it was behind pretty much all of that generation, much like the Xbox is behind this generation.
Yeah, you know, it's funny.
Same ratio, really.
I heard a podcast mention, you know, kind of. He was talking about what defines that generation cycle, and it's for a non-game. It's what is the ubiquitous term for a non-gamer talking about a gaming system, right? So if it's like back in the 80s, it was, oh, you know, what you on your Nintendo over there, even though it's like, well, it's actually my Master System, but it's like, no, you're playing your Nintendo. You know, the dads would say that. And then then it was your PlayStation, right, with the PlayStation 1, or Super Nintendo, I guess, maybe. But during the 360 and PlayStation 3 era, it was, oh, you playing your Xbox, and that was ubiquitous for people who weren't gamers. They just knew, oh, the popular gaming console is the Xbox.
Sounds like an angry mom voice, kind of.
Yeah, it's my Big Bang mom's thing.
Get off your Xbox.
So now, and everyone's talking about, well, you know, if it's a gaming system, it's a PlayStation, just because they have such a market share right now. So it'll change. Yeah, it changes all the time. But
I think the Switch is getting a bit more noise, and certainly in the perception from the public, at any rate, Nintendo is kind of up there now with the Switch. It's the big thing right now.
Yeah,
it's actually been selling really well. Surprisingly well.
It has. I mean, but numbers I've heard are what, 12 million? Is it maybe up to 20 million now? If I'm a month behind in the first month or two.
Not too sure on the exact figures, but I just know it's been selling surprisingly well. And,
yeah, you know what I heard today is the attachment rate for Zelda, right? So the number of people who own
99.9%.
No, guess what? You're too low. It's 102%.
Wait, what?
People,
they have multiple
people bought it in anticipation of getting a Switch, but they didn't make enough Switches. So it's actually 102%.
I was thinking people were buying like a copy to put on the shelf and then a copy to play. Like, what?
Yeah. They didn't have enough consoles to fill the demand, but people got the game because they're so excited for when the console does show up. So It was at 102% a few weeks ago. That's ridiculous.
So when are you getting one, Prue?
As soon as Smash Brothers comes out. I'll get one. Or if they do come out with a console version of Pokemon, I would absolutely buy it then. Until then, it's interesting. We'll see what happens. I actually, I was away at a wedding last weekend, and that friend of mine is obviously going on his honeymoon. He's flying all the way to Italy, so he had a big, long plane trip. And what he did is he told me this story. It was actually really funny that he went and sat in line at like 6 a.m. He had to kind of skip out of work a little bit at a Best Buy. And he was like, oh yeah, the kid next to me in line was from high school. And it was, kind of weird because I'm a 30-year-old man at this point, now waiting in line in front of a Best Buy. He bought it and it was DOA. Completely dead. Yeah. So he told me the story. He's like, I didn't know what to do. The trip was coming up. So,
spend time with your wife.
Well, she could be sleeping on the plane or whatever. So
they got the rest of their lives together.
He went to Toys R Us the next day. He found out that they were going to have a shipment. Same deal. Waited in line, waited early in the morning before they opened. And he ended up meeting somebody who went to high school with the kid that he had waited in the day before. And I'm like, these kids are going to think you're a really creepy old dude, right? This is really weird. But he finally got it, and it's working, and it's fine. And everybody it
would have been funny if that one was also dead on arrival. Like,
yeah, right.
Something's trying to tell you something here.
It's I don't know. I don't know that the Switch necessarily has the legs, but like I said, I'll certainly pick it up for certain things. Once they come out, that's just the way. I bought a Wii U for Smash Brothers, so I'm right behind that.
Yeah. Do you think they'll just release a port of Smash Brothers with all the DLC like they did with Mario Kart?
No way. That's the thing is, and that's Nintendo's this has been Nintendo's issue since literally since the N64, is the fact that they're the only ones developing for their system. So they're not going to, Mario Kart was just a way to kind of pad out the launch titles. They're not going to do it with the Switch too. They've already done it a little bit. I'm sure they're working on it. I have no doubt. And it's going to be a huge, huge deal when it comes out 2 years from now.
It will be. But here's the thing. I mean, like, it's not out of the question because the install base of the Wii U is like 10, 12 million. Like, there's already more Switches out there. So, like, you could resell Smash Brothers on the Wii U as an upward port like they're doing with Mario Kart, because you've got new people who are intrigued by the Switch who gave a pass on the Wii U because they were so confused by the messaging, the naming, the how garbage tablet, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they
not at all. I just don't think I don't think it would entice that many more people on top. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You already have the people who did have the Wii U for Smash or
I could
whatever.
see it as a summer release. You got Mario this fall and the re-release of Smash Brothers in the summer or late spring.
I hope not. If it's going to be next year, I'm certainly hoping that they're at least going to announce the next. It's fine if they do it. I don't care if they do it as long as they're working on the next one.
What's funny is this ties directly right into Tarragon's next point about exclusive titles.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and how important they are.
You were talking about exclusives, and I take a lot of this opinion from Randall Thor because he's echoed this particular viewpoint, and I agree with it completely. Basically, exclusives are rubbish. The whole exclusives are what makes consoles sell, and that's the games that people buy, is complete rubbish. The fact is that the multi-platform games are the ones that sell the most. You take the top 10. There was a top 10 from like February this year or something like that. I think it was just around when Uncharted 4 came out, or Uncharted 5, whichever one is the latest one. And that was actually the only game in the top 10 that was an exclusive. Everything else was a multi-platform title. The money's in multi-platform titles. That's where it is. So this argument about lack of exclusives or exclusives are, going to kill a console, I think is just complete rubbish, because they're not actually what sells. That's not where the money is made, and games will be sold when there's money to be made. So, yeah.
Well, let me
as long as there's an install base for the console, that's the important thing. Sorry.
Let me contradict that a little bit, because while I agree that they aren't the primary engine for the influx of cash for a console, I totally agree. Multi-platforms are the way to go. And so obviously, point A would be, between those multiplats, which system runs it better, right? And so PlayStation was getting that edge because they had a beefier console.
And they were also cheaper.
Yep. So you've got that, right? Okay. Let's say we come out 2-3 years from now and the PlayStation matches the Xbox. I think they'll try to beat them, but let's say they come out and they're like, hey, all right, we've got Scorpio and PlayStation. They're identical now, and the multiplats are identical. Now the consumer is looking for a differentiator. And what the differentiators are the exclusive titles. If it comes to a toss-up of, okay, the Call of Duties, the Assassin's Creeds, the games that I want to play, yeah, they're identically priced. The consoles are identically priced. The services are comparable on both sides. Everything, all the boxes are checking as equals. What differentiates? Oh, well, Halo's always interested me. And I kind of like space shooters, or Nathan Drake and his action adventure games. Boy, that's really where it's at. That can sway the marginal crowd. While I don't disagree that that multi-platforms drive the industry, and that's why we have so few first-party developers, or I'm sorry, exclusive developers to specific, Sony or Microsoft or whoever, because that's not where the money is for them. But for each of those, there is an importance in providing a different flavor to some of those people who are fringe cases or maybe don't care. So that's my only thing. Now, I certainly, people, I totally agree when I hear stuff on other podcasts where they're like, the sky is falling because we don't have any exclusives. I don't think in those terms. I don't think it's as dire as that is, but I do think it's if you don't find ways to differentiate yourself from your competition and you have a subpar in the multiplats, you're setting yourself up for long-term failure. Now, thankfully, we've got Scorpio on the horizon that's supposed to now be the beefier console. But if Microsoft's leaving up to the developers, and the developers are saying, well, you know what, it's actually just a lot more work for us to try to improve it, so we're just gonna make things equal on both sides. Okay, well, crap. That might not play into Microsoft's favor then.
The thing is that the multiplats are always going to be optimizing for the PS4 Pro anyway, so they've got that extra requirement in there to essentially make the game as good as it can possibly be on whatever version of the console it's released on. And I think, we're just getting back to the Destiny debate and the 30 frames per second. The trade-offs on that are, you can do 30 frames per second or you can do 60 frames per second, but if you do that 60 frames per second, then you can only draw half as many enemies on the screen, and that's your trade-off. So the better game will be if you have more enemies, so therefore you play it at 30 frames per second because that will give you the better experience. And the gain that you get from the extra 30 frames is so minimal compared to the gains you get from the gameplay variants or the extra particle effects or anything extra that they can throw in there graphically that they can do because they've got twice the time to render it. That's the trade-offs they make. And so it's the frames per second argument, I think, is a bit of a furphy because it's really not the power that's there is not just about frames per second. It's about all the extra stuff that they can render and do within that same window of time, that same 1/30th of a second that they've got to render that particular scene. So,
I think that's very well stated. And I think that particular argument, people want to see the big numbers, right? The 4Ks, the 60 FPS.
But the thing is that's just, it's not really what
it doesn't tell the whole story,
game.
Right?
No, it doesn't tell the whole story. And the thing is, if it was something that was, at 1080p at 30 frames per second, but had the most amazing and stunning amounts of enemies and particles and everything that was on screen, you wouldn't be complaining because it's still an amazing experience and you're going to enjoy playing it. You're not going to be sitting there going, it's not 4K and I can see the frames going and it's a bit too slow and I can't play this. It's literally unplayable. It's like, come on, really? Really? I find those kind of arguments frustrating because it's really just, it's very one-eyed. It's only seeing part of the picture and not seeing that, actually making a game is a little bit more complicated than what the resolution is and what the frame rate is. So, anyway.
Yep, totally agree.
Yeah.
Gosh, we're only halfway through your list.
Yeah. Well, that's the 30 frames per second parity thing was a bit lit later, so we've managed to cover that off. PS4 won the generation, and we've touched on that a bit.
Yep.
I think the interesting thing about the Xbox One on launch, if the Xbox One had just had 5% more power and didn't sell with the Kinect, we might have had a very different story this generation, even with all the bad press that they had at the start. I think the whole 960p, 1080p argument really did hurt Xbox, and the fact that it was more expensive in particular is what threw people off. Just getting back to the exclusives though, the other driver, and I think a big driver for people buying consoles, particularly when they're going new consoles, is what is the console that all my friends are buying? Yeah. And I think that's a bigger driver because they want to play Call of Duty or they want to play any of the big multi-platform multiplayer games. They want to play with their friends. And so they go to where their friends are going. So if a couple of their friends are going to PlayStation, they're going to buy a PlayStation most likely. And it's not the concept of the exclusive is not really going to come into that. It's just a case of, I've got this console. What else can I get? And then the exclusives are available. I'll just go through some of this. I can skip that marketing. Marketing rights. That's another thing that's been coming up lately a lot. clearly Xbox don't see a cost-benefit return in having those marketing rights. Now, I don't know what the figures are. And when I say marketing rights, that's essentially the
putting their splash screen at the end of the commercial.
When a game is marketed, when you see the advertisement for it, it'll have the console at the end, basically saying "buy it on blah."
Yeah.
The only people that are going to care about that are people who don't have consoles yet. So people who are waiting for that game, and then they see that and go, "Hey, I better buy that console to get that game." They're the only people that that's going to affect. It's not going to affect game sales for people who already have the consoles. So I'm not really sure that the marketing rights are that big a deal, particularly for the existing install base as far as selling games goes.
No.
So I guess that would be the
maybe not for the existing base, but what happens then if that person, the uninformed buyer, says, "Oh yeah, Destiny 2, that's a PlayStation game. Well, I better go out buy a PlayStation. Hey, PlayStation, I'm a developer. What's your install base? Well, you know what? We've got 100 million consoles out there. Well, what does Xbox have? Well, we got 40 million. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, how many active gamers do you have? Well, we only have 20 because people just bought Destiny and they don't play anything else. That's not the numbers they're looking for. What they're looking for is numbers of consoles sold. How many consoles could their game potentially get on? And so if the uneducated...
Well, I don't. Yeah, sorry. I don't think that that's actually that simple. I think that when they look at results, they're not going to say, well, hey, Xbox has 100 million accounts on their system, therefore they've got the biggest install base, I'll build for that console, because that's not true, because of those 100 million, you've got, 50 million that are just dead accounts or people who've moved to other consoles or don't game anymore. So you can't look at just the flat figures and go, that's what it's about. It has to be about live and active people, and that's just a metric.
Yes, I was being a little glib and certainly belittling the scenario. But again, perception is reality, and if people feel like, I got to go to PlayStation to get that game, then you may have a societal movement to go buy that console. And I mean, nobody can find a Switch. It must be really popular. I should probably buy a Switch. I mean, it's not to say that that's a good buying decision or a way to justify spending your money, but it certainly is. There's an excitement. There's talk about it. And hopefully Scorpio can capture that with, oh my God, have you seen how beefy this machine is? Did you see the E3 press conference that happens we're only 9 days away. I mean, hopefully that can carry out some sort of excitement and build a groundswell of people who are interested in buying.
Yeah. Well, what I found interesting is at my work, for example, I know a bunch of people who have consoles, they play games and whatnot. They have no idea what Scorpio is. They've never heard of it.
Sure.
And I just found that really interesting, because it's like, well, it's a big part of my knowledge base, because
we talk about it every day.
I'm a heavy gamer, and I'm really I'm in love with the Xbox brand, obviously, and so I'm following all of that news. But to the average gamer out there, it essentially doesn't exist, and that's really sort of interesting. After E3, that might change, maybe when they start advertising it, and maybe when they've got a price. But yeah. Don't forget that Microsoft as well are actually positioning the Scorpio to say they don't think it will be the biggest seller. They are not positioning it for that. So I would be surprised if it's going to... just Microsoft are not pitching it as this is going to be the replacement console and everybody's going to buy it and then they will win the generation. That's just not how it's sort of pitched. So I don't know. It's an interesting tactic, and I guess I'm going to wait and see with it. I mean, I'm going to be buying one, but it's just I think there is the small hardcore base of gamers who are definitely going to buy it, but that is not representative of the greater mass of gamers, and that's where all the money actually is. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. Sure. I'll have two more quick points. One was about your comparing the Sony Walkman and the iPod. I had a few factual concerns with that. Given that the iPod never actually competed with the Sony Walkman.
And I read your statement, like what you wrote here, and Walkman, Discman. I mean, I didn't bother caring what the hell Sony came out with after that.
Yeah, I was watching this particular era of MP3 players sort of with interest, actually, because I had a pretty keen interest in Sony and what Sony were doing in particular, because they were doing a bunch of fairly anti-consumer practices and trying to lock people into certain memory cards, and they'd released their mini disc, which was proprietary to them, and only they could produce the actual discs for it and that sort of thing. And it's sort of been proven over time that those locked-in proprietary formats have all basically died because only one person's making them, and somebody else comes out with something that's much more ubiquitous and completely stomps over the competition. Except when the iPod happened, of course.
I was just going to say that.
The thing is that a lot of companies were trying out MP3 players, and they were fairly expensive. They couldn't hold many songs, and they were pretty crap ultimately. Then the iPod came out and essentially changed that up completely. It had a hard drive in it. It could store a mass amount of music on it. I think they released their store at the same time, so you could get access to all of this music. It was just revolutionary, and that's why it won. So it's kind of it took over what was already a nascent MP3 market that was just beginning, and essentially killed Discmans and minidisc as in the process. Walkman, I think, was pretty much already dead by that point, as a relevant format anyway. Things were changing.
Sure. That's fair.
Last thing was just regarding Fufu Cuddly Poof's dilemma. He posed a dilemma for everyone, and I wasn't on the show to give my
Proulx wasn't
answer.
on the show either.
Mm-hmm. So I don't remember what Proulx was, but we'll get to that. So with mine, it was between Elite Dangerous, Batman. So I think it was just any Batman and any
Batman
Dead Rising.
Arkham series.
Yeah, and all the Dead Risings. That was actually this is a really easy decision for me. Elite all the time. That should be pretty obvious. Batman I could do once a year, and I would kill Dead Rising. And Batman I still go back to. It's the kind of game that I will go back and play just because I really enjoy that particular genre. In fact, I've gone and bought the PlayStation 3 versions of them now so I can get the trophies. So that's how much I like that game. The Dead Risings, I'm not as in love with Dead Rising as I used to be. I've really struggled to kind of get into Dead Rising 3, and I've gone back to Dead Rising 1 with the remaster, and I just haven't been able to throw myself into it like I used to. So,
sure.
If wiping Dead Rising from my tag would mean I'd lose my 100k and 200k milestones, which would be a bit of a sad thing, but I think I could live with it.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, Proulx, are you familiar with what we're talking about here?
Oh yeah, totally. I was actually hoping maybe everybody would forget about it so that I wasn't forced to actually choose.
Kill your children, man. Let's hear it.
It's tough, right? So
your choices, we'll set the stage for any new listener. Fufu Cuddly Poof asked that you have 3 games. One of them will be your main game, and you get to play it as much as you want, as frequently as you want. One game or game series, you will only be allowed to play one time per year, like for a single day or for one session. You can play that, and if you choose to play it to completion, great. But you get one time. And the other one is you will never get to play that ever again. It is gone. It is wiped off the face of the earth from your Gamertag perspective. Everything you've earned in that is gone. Anything associated with a completion or whatnot is gone. So Proulx was asked between Rocket League, the Pokemon series, the main games, and the Halo series. So Proulx, where did you fall on these?
Oh, it's like cutting off my own arm. So, this is tough, but I had to come up with a method. So my method was, in a way, from my perspective, depth of gameplay. What I could do, how many different ways I could approach these games, and what would kind of give me the most fulfillment as I'm playing them. So my main game series is going to be Pokemon. I'm not going to let it go. God. I know. I'm sorry.
I'm shocked you picked that one.
Yeah.
I would have thought Rocket League.
And it's going to get worse then. Pokemon, because you can play Pokemon a zillion different ways. And I mean, it's essentially a strategy game. I mean, it's a role-playing game, but it's a strategy game as well. There, you could play that game in any infinite different directions, and it's still amazing. I still love that game.
Is it really infinite, though? I mean, I do feel like it's a linear story with a closed set of creatures, of which you can only carry 6 at a time. I mean, like, there is a permutation there that
no. If you want to talk about permutations, if we're talking, because yes, there is story Pokemon, but there's also multiplayer Pokemon. Presuming, of course, that there's multiplayer Halo and Rocket League.
Yeah,
and
there is.
Certainly, Pokemon has way more variety in the multiplayer than either of those other games.
Sure.
So, that's fair. Proulx, can I just ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Are you the kind of guy who likes getting all the flags in Assassin's Creed?
I don't.
I'm just trying to.
I don't.
It's the whole collection thing. It's just it's all I can think of with Pokemon is like got to get them all, got to get every single one, and then all the shiny ones, and then all the super rare shiny ones, and then the ones that only turn up every 4 years if you happen to search every day. And anyway.
No, sorry, I don't.
Just an aside.
Just so, I mean, there is a very big difference between collecting all the flags in Assassin's Creed and collecting all the Pokemon. I mean,
is there though?
Yes.
Yeah, the shape of them.
All the all the flags are identical. I mean, they're identical objects. I mean,
MacGuffins.
They are. They're the exact same thing, and they don't do anything. Essentially, once you get them, they're gone. They sprinkle, sparkle for a little bit.
Yeah, they give you.
Oh my! I am telling you what. If Pokemon had achievements, I would be over. I don't know. I don't even know what I would do. I couldn't even handle it in my mind. But anyway,
so Pokemon's your main. Gotcha.
Pokemon's my main. And this was really tough. And this basically just boiled down to essentially the volume of games, right? I love Rocket League, and this may change, but Halo has so much more. I mean, because we've had all these games: Halo, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo Reach. I'm good. I would leave ODST out if I could, and anything after 4. But those
ODST was all right.
Yeah, those 3 games alone. 4 games alone, are so good, and there's just more. There's just more content, and so I would have to. It hurts. It physically hurts me to say I would leave Rocket League behind. I can't play that anymore because I love that game so much. But that would be my order: Pokemon, then Halo, then Rocket League. I'm sorry, Rocket League.
On that bombshell.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, next piece of news. And actually, I was present for this, Tarragon. I actually heard this happen, yes.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Beamy7, who's been holding a streak challenge with me for the last 250-odd days, lost his streak.
Yeah.
No.
So this is what happened. We had started our Zombie Army Trilogy boosting session on Sunday night. And we started at 10 p.m. and we were going to play till roughly midnight. So we played 2 of the multiplayer maps, and the first one, we were kind of learning the rules. We had set it up wrong, so we made it really difficult on ourselves. And so we died and said, let's try again. And once we got the mechanics down, it took us like 35 minutes to get to clear out wave 10. Like, okay. So now it's, just after 11. It's like, okay, we can probably fit one more in. It should be fine. And so Beerme mentioned, he's like, yeah, I just need to unlock an achievement before midnight. And, so it'd be fine. So we played the next co-op mission. He didn't get any achievements in that, obviously. And it was 11:52. He had 8 minutes.
Oh, no.
And he's like, this is fine because I've got a bunch of stuff lined up. He's like, so I'm going to load up 6180 to the moon, right? Easy game. He was on the reverse path. So he just needed to finish the level and, bam, achievement unlocked. Take him like 30 seconds. So I'm listening to him and he's doing his thing and I'm, prominence poker or something. I'm working on something else. And he's like,
maybe he should have loaded up Prominence Poker. He would have got the accidental.
There you go. So I'm hearing him, and he's like, "Hey, so I'm just supposed to like beat this level, right? And like it should just pop. How come it's not popping? How come nothing? It's like nothing is. Do I have to resync?" And I'm like hearing him talk through this, and I'm like, oh no, dude. He's like, maybe if I just reset the game or reboot it and try and close out or force a check. And so he's trying to do all these things. And I'm looking at the clock and it's 11:57, 11:58. And he's like, man, this sucks. I had this thing lined up and ready to go and it's not working. And he's like, well, so what? We missed it. I was like, how are you not pissed, man? Like, you set this up. You were ready to go, and I listened to you do what you needed to do to unlock the achievement. And he's just like, yeah, that sucks. I'll just start a new streak tomorrow. I'm like, I cannot believe it, man. I'd be furious. So that's what happened. He was like the most calm, cool, collected dude. When like he's just bad, whatever, not big. I guess I owe Tarragon some money. Yeah, that dude is awesome. It's been really fun playing Zombie Army Trilogy with him and What the Fug and Koosh on Sundays now. I'm excited to revisit it again this week. It's great. It's a good boosting session. So there you go. I listened to it happen, man. So bummer on Beer Me, but yeah. Which actually, that reminds me, so between Beer Me and Proulx, this is another thing we have to talk about, and Fufu reminded me, what happened in GTAC, Proulx? Yeah. Was that wedding worth it? Getting kicked out?
How much of a bummer was that, right? Like, I'm thinking, it won't be a big deal. I'll just get ready, earlier in the week, because I'm going to be gone. And you know what happens, right? I'm planning on leaving early Thursday morning, and I don't get back until late Sunday night. So I have to do everything beforehand. Well, work gets kind of compounded. I'm trying to get everything done to get ready to go. And I just doesn't. And then, a friend comes down and visits. And I just don't have the chance to ever get something done.
I'm hearing a lot of excuses here.
Yeah, it's an excuse. It's an excuse. So, I was away and I think I had an hour. I got to the house that we were staying at about an hour before everybody else did. And I had my computer with me, my Windows 8 computer, and I'm thinking, well, what can I do? What can I get done quickly to maybe push me over the edge so I don't have to, and
didn't happen.
I played Disney Fairy Princesses or something like that on Windows 8 because that was an easy 200. It was an easy 1,000, but I didn't have the time to get the whole thing done. I only got 200.
It's an easy 1,000 with about 1 billion achievements. Yeah.
and it's kind of mind-numbing and awful and terrible. It is what it is. I was surprised. I was disappointed. I was disappointed because I know that if I was around, and I was going to be around, this was my last trip for the remainder of the summer, hopefully, and then, into the fall would be a different story. But, I just wanted to see how far I'd get. And I could have definitely gotten further. So
just wondering, did you have bonuses you could use?
I didn't. I don't think I did. So I thought I had earned the one from last week, which was the True Achievements one, right? And then I never did, and
the one from
yeah. And I didn't, and I forgot to check why I didn't because I could have sworn I did. But again, once I got there, it was Thursday. It was Thursday night. I just didn't. The whole weekend went by.
Speaking of that, I'm actually the one who runs the scans for that particular challenge. And basically, I was waiting for people to come and say, hey, I think I got it. Why didn't I get it? And the only one who did was somebody who used an umlaut for the U on the U instead of a proper U and thought that would count. So that was the only complaint. But if you think you actually have done it, I've got all of the stats on what people did and didn't get, so I can double check that. And if you do think you've got it legitimately and there's a bug in my code, then you'll probably be retroactively given that bonus. Not that it matters now because you're out. So,
I mean, if you don't mind checking, I am curious why I didn't get it, but it's obviously, like you say, it's no big deal at this point, and it's fine.
Sure. All right. Well, let's move on. Hey, win of the week, guys. And you know what? Let's just throw the recap in here. Try to make it quick and sweet. I'm going to start off. My win of the week was I had a pretty successful random to-do list last month. I finished the month strong with 3 random to-do lists last week on I Am Alive, Fat City, and, of course, the Halo 4, which I had talked about last show. Got those 3, brought me up to 10 for the month. It's been kind of my go-to number is 10, 11, that range. What was that? 1/3, just over 1/3. So that's been fun, and I feel good about being able to contribute to my to-do lists in that fashion. I also, one of those to-do list items that I didn't mention there, but I had done it a little earlier in the week, was Slice Zombies for Connect. That is not a great game, but it literally is Fruit Ninja. But the achievements actually come pretty quick. If you're okay with some sore arms, in about an hour, maybe just over an hour, I got 600 Gamerscore, which is essentially the same amount of TA score. They're not that hard. And 13 of the 17 achievements. The last 4 are they are a little bit more grindy, where you got to keep cutting zombies up and stuff. So it'll take a little bit more time, maybe 2 or 3 more hours to finish that up. But if you're looking for 600 Gamerscore in about an hour, that's and have your Kinect plugged in, I guess that's pretty critical. Slice Zombies for Kinect works.
Yeah, I actually used that on the world record attempt. It was because basically I just had a target to get to, and you just keep whacking away at zombies until you get to that achievement, and then you've got, and it only takes like 10, 15 minutes, I think, and you've got your good 400-500 gamer score on that. So
it's pretty darn quick. I mentioned the Zombie Army Trilogy boosting session, which has been great. We did 2 co-op levels. I earned 4 achievements in there. Now, I think Koosh, or maybe it was Fug, one of the two, unlocked 7 achievements. I think it was Fug. He unlocked 7 achievements. I don't know how he did that, but I only got 4. Did my normal Titanfall and Diablo sessions, nothing special there. And this month now with June, I wasn't supposed to start until tomorrow, according to my spreadsheet, but I did find some time after Titanfall to give, and I stayed up late, I should have done this, it was a bad choice, but the Battle Block Theater All Around Joe. So what this is A, it's a random to-do list, and A+, it's an A for the alphabet challenge. And so this actually, there's a great guide on TA for this, which gives you a nice little trick to get this easy achievement, because it's probably a really high ratio, because you have to play all 8 different mini games or the arena games in Battle Block Theater. But what they don't tell you is that you can actually play it against a bot or locally. You can have a secondary controller plugged in. And each arena has 3 different doors or 3 different rounds to it. You only have to do 1 round. So you can go in, win the first round, and then hit start and go to exit game or exit level, and then change arena mode, and only do 1 of each instead of having to do all 3. So instead of 24 levels, you could actually just do 8 and get the achievement pretty quick. And so it worked. I can confirm it worked, and that started my journey down the alphabet. I'm excited. Tomorrow, I've got my B lined. Actually, I'm going to try to get my B tonight. Well, I bet I can do it. Tarragon, what'd you have going on last week? Now, it's been a while. I mean, you can throw in a bunch of stuff, I suppose.
I could. I'll only really go into the last week though, just because time. But my win of the week, I think, has to be my selection on my random to-do list. And it's pretty funny. I basically another rule. It was not so much a rule change, but we're starting to enforce the minimum achievements available requirement as part of the random to-do list. I coded that in this week or this month, and as a result, I also decided my lists are way too random. I'm going to trim down and just have the available amount of achievements there. So I actually trimmed my entire collection down to 17 games and about 509 achievements available. Now, one of those games is Halo Master Chief Collection, which has, a few achievements in it. So as a result, about half of my available pool is from Halo Master Chief Collection, as it turns out. So it's probably not terribly surprising that a good 15 of my 25 achievements are all from Halo Master Chief Collection in my random to-do list. So it's going to be an interesting month. I'll be playing a lot of Halo. So
I got to ask you this, and you can, if you're actually timing this, stop your stopwatch here. But are you, like, I mean, we game share, so I know how many games you have, and you've only chosen 17 that you want to play. Like,
I was draconian.
1,000 some.
Yep, I was very draconian. I think the full list of all games, including ones I've completed and don't own anymore, is up to something like 1,800 or something on True Achievements.
Wow. So you've taken the 1% that you want to really focus on.
Yeah, I was just like, no.
Or is that even a tenth of a percent? It's not even 1%.
How many achievements have I got? No, cull more. How many achievements have I got now? Kill more. Yeah, well, it's just basically down to I had so many games there that I just realized that I just don't want to play. It's like I think it's just I'm a serial diver and I like to own these things, but ultimately there's actually not that many games I really realistically want to play, which is a bit strange. So I kind of came to terms with that particular feeling in my sort of heart, I guess, and went, I'm only going to put on games I'm going to want to play, and I'm going to maximize my sort of time in the month and make my random to-do list something I actually want to do. Because I think that was the problem, is I'd sort of do 5 or 6 achievements, and then the rest would be like, I don't want to load up Leisure Suit Larry. I just don't want to do it.
So are you going to do all 15 Master Chief Collection achievements?
I think they're all doable. Yeah, I'm going to try. I think actually this month I could probably go for the full 25.
Nice. That'd be impressive.
Nice. Awesome.
I think there's only 1 or 2 there that will be really difficult. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I can get the lot. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that, and I was kind of glad that Triple Elite didn't turn up, because that would have been a no.
Yeah, are you because you're saving that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've got that. You know, what's the word? Preloaded for
Wait, is that actually the name of the achievement? Triple Elite?
Yes, I think it is.
You know that has 3 E's in it for the Mocos challenge.
Yeah, maybe I should pop it now then.
Pop it this month? You got all month. Yep. We'll see if anything gets dire in the G task.
Yeah. Other games, so that was kind of my win. Other games, I mean, I've obviously been playing Halo Master Chief, and I've also been playing Draw a Stickman Epic. That was one of the ones I left on there, because I actually kind of like that game.
Yeah, that game's fun.
It's not difficult, and it's just sort of something I wanted to work through, so I left that there, and it had a bunch of achievements left, so that kind of added to my pool. Candleman, Chinese version of that, I have access to, and so I've actually just wrapped that up, which is 12th on TA.
Yay! Congratulations!
Nice work.
Awesome. It's a very hard game to get a handle of. So a hold of, I should say. So beyond that, a bunch of Windows games that I was just playing through for the Alphabet Challenge. Essentially, I dived a bunch of these, like Bejeweled, to get my B and C. Hitchhiker on Windows 10. There is the easiest bean dive achievement ever, called Appreciation, for reading the credits, and that was a nice A as well.
Hey, all right. Ooh, nice, good start.
And then I went through and played that Rayman Fiesta Run. It's that it's Rayman, but you're continually moving across the screen. There was an achievement in that for getting 1,000 looms called Dessert, so that was my D, and that's about as far as I've gotten in the Alphabet so far. But I was doing that while boosting Elite, so done some more work in Elite, of course. Just popped a few high-value ones for the G-Task as I've been going through, and... Boggle. You were working on Boggle, weren't you, Fream?
I was.
Because there's a few weird things about that diamond achievement that you went for. I'm actually going for that myself, and it's all like you basically just got to grind games out.
Yeah.
But I found that I've actually unlocked. There's an achievement called 1337, so Elite.
Yep.
And that's for getting 1,337 words for 4 or higher there, right? And so I'd played through and I'd gotten that achievement. So I've obviously got 1,337 words at least. And I got my silver rating, right? So I've moved from bronze to silver, and it's like, yep, great. I then went and picked it up the next day, and I was back to bronze, and I was like,
that's
what?
Weird.
And I looked at my total words, and it was like 860 something, and I'm like, what?
Huh.
So yeah, it seems like I wonder if a lot of the complaints about that particular achievement are the fact that Boggle just seems to lose progress sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that might be just something to watch out for on that one. It's a really weird achievement, because it's lots of people have said they had to play 90 games together. Other people have said they only had to play 20 or 30, and it just doesn't sort of make a lot of sense.
I will admit, I felt like I played more than the solution suggested I needed to. Now,
sure,
I was just kind of chipping away a little bit at a time, and so I wasn't really sitting and grinding and oh boy, it's just taking forever. So it's hard for me to gauge. Have I played 20 games? Have I played 30? I probably were in the 30 to 50 range.
Yeah, you can actually check that in your stats. It tells you how many games you've played.
Well, but if it erases games, I mean...
Yeah, well, that's the thing. My games played was 10. I hit 10 games exactly when I got the silver. And when I went back in, it was back down to 8.
Yeah.
It's huh?
That's weird.
Yeah, weird. So it must be doing some kind of online save and it didn't save properly or something like that. So, yeah, something to be aware of. I think that's pretty much all that's really worth talking about there. Cool. Yeah, other than just a lot of Halo. There was the GTASC last week. There was a bonus in that for getting everybody on the team had to get 100 achievements unlocked for the period. So 500 achievements across the entire team. I played a crap ton of Halo to get all of that. Turns out there are a lot of achievements in Halo that are actually quite easy to get. So I basically played through the entire campaign of Halo CE and picked up all of the terminals and all of the skulls, and I also played through the entire campaign of Halo 3 ODST, picking up all the audio logs, and that got me most of the way to my 100 for that week, as well as getting quite a decent amount of score too. So, that's pretty much all that's noteworthy for me, I think, and I'll pass over to Proulx.
Cool.
Well, it was Telltale month, so I decided to pick up the only one that I hadn't played before, other than the newest Walking Dead Season 3 stuff. I haven't touched that yet, but...
Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, I've done that. That's done. I mean, as far as it's been released, we're still waiting on episode 2 still at this point, but... which was I guess you would think that I always considered The Walking Dead to be the original, but I guess it's really Back to the Future. And oof. This game is
a little
rough. Oh my goodness. So I understand why people think, or at least I thought, that The Walking Dead was kind of the original Telltale game, because that's kind of where they refined it and perfected it and removed all of the excess nonsense that you don't need. And I've always been pretty forgiving of Telltale with their Telltale jankiness. Man, this game felt like it was going to collapse in on itself at any moment, and there was only 12 polygons on screen at any point. So I don't know why it felt like that. And I like Back to the Future. So I don't know. It's just clumsy and awkward and not great. The story is fine, and the voice acting and stuff, the animations.
It's got the actual voice actors. They're the actual actors from the movie.
It has Christopher Lloyd. Yeah. Yep. Michael J. Fox makes an appearance, though he doesn't play the voice of Marty McFly. That was
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
It was some sound alike that they found. But that's awesome. That was cool. It would be interesting to see a modern, like a sequel, like a season 2 of this, now with Telltale's capabilities. I would be really interested in that. That would actually be pretty awesome. But as it stands, not great. Not a great experience. It took too long. It was clumsy and weird, but I got it done. So that was cool, because the Telltale challenge kind of forced me to do it. And I'm going to have to do it again on Xbox One.
Might just segue there. We've actually got a question about the Telltale games. It might just be worth chucking that in now.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
I forget who. I'm just trying to find it in our list of who actually asked it. Mattism, that's right. He asked us, he's behind a few shows, blah, blah. He said, seeing that we just finished Telltale month, he wants to know what your favourite and most disliked Telltale games are. Crandy does not need to answer if he doesn't want to, as I know that would be Life is Strange. Wait, what?
Which is not a Telltale game, but is essentially a Telltale game.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a Telltale alike. So we'll start with you, Proulx, because you were just talking about it, and I suspect it's going to be Back to the Future.
No, believe it or not, it's actually not. Okay, I have kind of a ranking for all of them. I guess for top would be tied between...
Have you got a spreadsheet?
I don't have a spreadsheet, but in my head, in my heart, I know. In my heart, I know. Fream has spreadsheets. I just know things. So in my heart, it's...
I automate everything.
Walking Dead Season 1 is, of course, going to be up there for a lot of reasons. I mean, the first out the gate is important, and it kind of establishes the tone and is important for that kind of a thing. So it's going to kind of be up there. But other than that, honestly, Tales from the Borderlands, it's got to be... as far as Telltale Games goes, it's got to be up there. I've really enjoyed the Batman Season 1 as well. And then with various degrees going down the ladder here with Wolf is Strange, which was good, but kind of not as...
Wolf is Strange.
I'm sorry. Wolf is Strange. Wolf Among Us. Oh my goodness. I just combined two games there. You're right. Wolf Among Us. Sorry.
So that would be an interesting combination.
Wolf Among Us, which was good. And the concept was cool. It was all right. Tales from the Borderlands had... I think it was the humor... I don't know. I think the two styles blended really, really well. And I'm actually working now on my first stack of Minecraft Story Mode, which is good, but is very, very, very uneven. Like, depending on the chapter you're playing, because they just seem to jump around randomly, and like literally they just added extra episodes at the end. There was no direction that was going on there, and some episodes are really fun and awesome and cool, and some are like a drag, and you're like, I want to get out of here. So, yeah, I guess in summary, it's Walking Dead and Tales from the Borderlands, then probably Walking Dead Season 2, Wolf Among Us, Batman, and then probably down the line from there.
Okay, but what's the least favorite?
Oh, the least... Was that the question? I'm sorry.
He did both. He wanted you to brag.
Least favorite would be... Yeah, it would have to be Back to the Future. I mean, it's not even close. Like, there's no debate about that.
Yeah. I haven't actually played many of the recent ones, to be honest, except for Batman. And I've kind of, I guess, gone off the model a bit. I've struggled to get through the stacks, and I've got like stacks of Walking Dead 1, 2, Wolf Among Us. I mean, I absolutely loved Wolf Among Us as I was a fan of the comics. But yeah, I think just from the story and the fact that I loved that universe, Wolf Among Us is probably up there as my top. And Walking Dead Season 1, I mean, that was a sort of hallmark of that sort of genre. It started off that particular style. I remember when episode 5 came out and there was the hashtag, for Clementine. That was just everywhere when that episode came out. Right. That was pretty amazing. As for least, I don't think I've got a least favorite. I think my least favorite is replaying them. As a stack.
That's totally fair.
It really isn't. I mean, it's sort of fun if you've got to go and make other choices and things like that, but I've sort of done it too many times now, and I'm like over it. So yeah.
Like,
what about you, Fream?
I'm kind of with you. Go ahead, Proulx.
I was just going to say, I think it's important because I'm, I've done a few stacks here and there. I think like Lego games, people have similar complaints about the Lego games. You just need to give yourself space. You cannot do a Telltale game, even within a month or two of a Telltale game. Do one game, give yourself 3-4 months, then do the other one. It's a good experience, and then specifically between stacks, give yourself like 8 months, 9 months. Then you kind of barely remember what was going on, and you can make different decisions. So it's kind of a slightly different experience, and it's still enjoyable. So that's all I was going to say.
I think the possibly the Smirnov approach is actually even better in that you get all of the stacks going all at the same time on all different systems, and you just play through them all at once. Simultaneously.
There actually is some truth to that. I'm kind of with you, Tarragon, that I haven't actually devoted enough time to play them, because for me, if you think of it, I'm limited to about 2 hours of gaming a night. Playing one of those is a week. I mean, it just takes out a week of gaming. I'm guaranteed 35 achievements and 1,000 Gamerscore, but that is all I get to play for a week if I choose to go through the story. So I've dabbled in many of them, and yet I haven't brought them to completion. And so that's why, when I say my favorites, it's between Tales from the Borderlands and Season 1 of The Walking Dead. ultimately for many of the reasons that have already been said, that The Walking Dead made me feel some things that I just wasn't expecting in a game. Yet the Tales from the Borderlands humor and their delivery is just fantastic so far. And I've only gone one episode in, and they have set the tone so well, and I really enjoy that, what they're presenting so far. And from everything I've heard, it just gets better. And so, there's an excitement there, but I don't know if I can give it the crown. As far as worst, again, my selection is pretty limited. And while I like the premise and the story so far in The Wolf Among Us, I think what makes it my worst is the fact that you can't get all the achievements in one playthrough, that you have to do that last decision flip to get that other one, and that's just annoying. But that's really the only reason.
Okay. That's fair. I think that was particularly irritating.
Yeah. Now, I guess, rewind and do stuff like that and make it a little less a pain, but I like going into it and saying and using the stacks as my opportunity to make a change in decisions. I'd like, in a Telltale game, getting all the achievements in one playthrough and making that my story and not saying, I need to go back and switch this.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the Telltales is that they've always been essentially... they're not done in a way that they have missable achievements until The Wolf Among Us. And then I think they didn't do it again. Right. So, I think maybe they got enough backlash from that. So,
possible. Proulx, you got some other games you want to talk about? Or do we have more Telltale stuff to...
No. Nope. I just... Nothing else really from that other than I talked about a little bit about what I had to do on vacation to try to stay afloat, which didn't work. I finished.
And I actually did. I looked up your bonuses before, by the way. You actually had that bonus, and you also had a safety net, and you also had your initial bonus. So you had a good 3,000 points of bonuses sitting there,
and didn't use them at all. And I have no one to blame. No one to blame but myself. So it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's a learning experience, and that's fine. I completed all the DLC and the main game, of course, of Lego Marvel Avengers last week, which was great. That's another Lego game in the bag. We've moved on from Left 4 Dead to a very different game called Left 4 Dead 2 on Wednesdays. So that's exciting.
They're nothing alike.
No. And this one,
one has melee weapons.
You can have an axe. Yeah, I mean it's totally different.
But did you play the Sacrifice DLC in Left 4 Dead 1 and then use that as a transition for Left 4 Dead 2? So that maybe it wasn't so jarring.
This was a thing. I was a big fan of Left 4 Dead back in the day. I played the first two, specifically the first one, quite a bit. I had no idea that this existed, and I cannot think of another instance of this where there are two games in a series that have the same DLC that you have to buy twice.
Yep.
I cannot think of another instance. And this is when somebody told me that, when they're like, oh yeah, we'll have to do this now and then we'll have to do it again when we get Left 4 Dead. What? What do you mean? It's the same exact thing? Why am I paying for this twice?
Yep. In the sequel.
Anyways, yeah.
What you played it though? I mean, you understand why.
Oh God, no! I mean, we weren't paying attention to story. Like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, are you kidding me? Well, maybe Left 4 Dead 2 we'll pay a little bit closer attention. But
okay.
Other than that, just been working on more recently the alphabet challenge as well as the new random to do stuff. Nothing too exciting going on there. And I'm like I said, I'm up to F now. I'm hoping to do. This is very, very ambitious, but I'm hoping to do both a letter or two and a random to do achievement a day. That way I can just get all of it knocked out. That's not going to happen, of course, but that's what I'm hoping to do. So, and then Titanfall, of course, and I've been playing Saints Row 4 with Randy for the third time, so eventually we'll be done with this.
That just sounds awful.
Why?
I don't know.
Is that like a case of you really should just take a break of like
no, we did.
5 years between doing them?
In fact, we actually did. We took a big break between the second and the third playthrough, and now we just finished the third playthrough and started playing Halo Spartan Assault. We actually just started doing that this evening and got a good chunk of the way through. But then we already have the last and final stack set up. So that's going to come next.
Preloading GTA SC. It's a good strategy.
Yeah. Especially when you're not
Sorry.
in it.
Not meaning to rub it in.
Anyway.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, that's it. That's it for me. That's all I've been playing. So
Nice. There's not much in the way of news, so let's just quick run through this.
Well, there is, but not much that we're going to.
Nothing we're going to talk about. I mean, actually,
we got a lot of feedback. To get through,
tons of feedback, but not news proper. It's not really our bag. I think it's, I'm going to kick this to Randy. Hopefully, he's listening to the show. So I must have called a plumber because I'm not hearing a lot of E3 chatter right now. I feel like those pipes got cleaned up. We're not getting those drops. It's only 10 days out there, Randy. Anyway,
they still got 10 days.
Yeah, we do, and we got a weekend.
There's been a few leaks. There's been a few leaks.
I think they're announcements. I don't think they count as leaks. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
There was a leak of the new Need for Speed game, and then they've sort of leaked it by accident, and then it's been announced. Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
Leaks.
Before we talk into a couple of the announcements, let's get into our the Games with Gold comment you got here, Tarragon. That is particularly interesting to you, region switchers.
Yes, Japan doesn't have Watch Dogs as their Games with Gold for the second half of June. In place of that, they have Zoo Tycoon. So what that means is basically you can go onto your console, you change the region that your console is in, just in the settings, set it to Japan, and then you can go and grab that Games with Gold. As simple as that. Don't change your profile or anything like that. Just change your console region. You can grab both of those Games with Gold that month. So it's basically a bonus Games with Gold, simply for changing your region. If you don't already have Zoo Tycoon, of course. So check that out. We'll give another reminder closer to the date. It's a couple of episodes away. There you go.
Cool.
More free games.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Zoo Tycoon is a lot of fun. So definitely pick it up. Yeah.
And there's not many games that start with the letter Z. So if you ever need that, particularly in August, I think that's ZZ Urban Spaceman's Gamertag. Just throwing that out there.
Who's that?
Who's that guy?
Yeah. Just a quick announcement here, and I just want to mention it because I love the fact that it's a new IP that we can look forward to. I hope. Iron Galaxy announced a new IP called Extinction right now. It's and they have an announcement cinematic trailer. You guys can look at it in the show notes here. We'll post a link to it. The premise, from what I can see in this trailer, is you are a swordsman in a desert kind of, so if you played Diablo 3, it kind of reminds me of that desert town, right, with all the bazaar and the shops like that. Or like a Prince of Persia type looking place. And you've got, you kind of look like a skinny Viking / footballer, and like a soccer player.
Right.
Yeah, he's got weird hair, skinny, good at running.
Blood Bowl vibe.
Yeah, anyway. So this character is, he's looking over the wall of a city and sees a massive, and I'm talking massive, Shadow of the Colossus style orc. And he comes just smashing through the city, and there's all these like little minions running around, like winged goblins and orcs and whatnot, and they're attacking and terrorizing people, and he's killing a couple of them. But his main focus is looking at this big bad guy, and so he is running Assassin's Creed style through this city. And again, this is all cinematic, but he's climbing and mantling up walls, jumping around, dodging giant fists until he does a big old swing around and lops the head off of this gigantic orc. And then so he's standing next to the dead body and sees about 40 more of these giant orcs come in. So I don't know if it's like a Shadow of Colossus style gameplay where you're taking out these large Titanic sized orcs, or if it's minion based or whatever it is, but it's new. I love new. I'm so excited we get something new to talk about. So take a look at the trailer. It's kind of cool looking. Not sure where the vibe's going to end up, but early in development, I'm sure. What do you guys think? You guys like new IPs like I like new IPs?
No, give me old Give me lots of old IPs.
You want
sequels all the way.
Churn them out, baby.
He looks like World War Hulk, or probably more apt at this point is the Thor Ragnarok Hulk with armor all over him, and that's what it reminds me of. I know he's a generic orc, but that's what it kind of the vibe it's giving.
Just a generic Hulk.
Yeah, just like a generic Hulk. Yeah.
The final piece of news, and this was probably the biggest announcement of the week, was Middle-earth: Shadow of War is now delayed. It was initially intended for August. It is coming out October 10th. That is the modified release date. The Monolith Andy is the admin for their forums, and he posts and saying, "We understand that it might be disappointing to have to wait a little longer for the release and are so sorry for the delay, but we are working hard to make an amazing game. We are excited to show more at E3." Now, keep in mind, Microsoft does have the marketing rights to this game. So is this...
Wait, what? No, Microsoft don't have marketing rights to games. God.
Does this shift it into Scorpio launch title? Really to amplify it in that early March time frame?
My feeling, the early October time frame.
That's what I mean, sorry. My feeling is no. I'm firming up to the belief that the Scorpio is going to be a November release. Sure.
A couple of things for that is that, every other Xbox console is released in November.
There's precedent.
One thing, but it just seems like that's the time. And it's been echoed by a few people, sort of prominent people have got that opinion. So, that's my feeling. I think October is going to be too early for Scorpio.
Boo.
Well, not to say it won't run better on Scorpio, but it won't be a Scorpio release title.
What I do think, though, is they're taking that extra, couple months here to really polish it up so that because they have the marketing rights, that it will present so nicely on Scorpio, that they're really refining the 4K textures and making sure, to get out of the gate, this has got to be one of their big flagship products to showcase the power of the Scorpio, that Microsoft is totally happy with them taking some more time and polishing the heck out of this thing. I mean, from what I've seen so far, it looks pretty darn cool, and I loved the first one.
Yeah, I mean, it's we can speculate. It might be for that reason. It could well be that they just happened to have a whole bunch of bugs that they needed to get fixed and didn't get them fixed in time, and they had that extra time to sort of work on it. Who knows? There could be a myriad of reasons. So I suspect that with a lot of these kind of delays decisions, it's not just one thing. It's going to be a bunch of things and a bunch of factors that come into that decision. So. It may well be related to Scorpio. It may not. Who knows? You would think, though, if it was related to Scorpio, they would have been talking about that months and months and months ago. They wouldn't have done a surprise delay like this. But that's just my opinion.
Fine. So negative, man. Jeez.
That's just your opinion, man.
Brilliant. All right. Like you said already, we have a slew of listener feedback we're excited to dive into. So our first bit of feedback, I want to mention this. It's a new podcast review. We got it on April 29th from Bill Time. He says, "This show is amazing for fans of gaming. They have a perfect blend of options from the glass is always empty, a.k.a. Rain Cloud Randy, and the unicorns and rainbows, Fream, the voice of reason to help bring the show back to reality with ZZ Urban Spaceman and Proulx. Not to mention they have an amazing online community set up for people to chat and win prizes. Seriously, it's more than a podcast. It's a family of gamers. Do yourself a favor and join the fun. Just don't join the chat, join the forums. That's the place that we're going to have the most fun."
Well, yes.
But thank you, Bill. That's a glowing review. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. We had another private message from Delta here. He says, "Hey, Fream, I've been listening to the podcast for a couple of months now, and I really like it. Thought I'd submit a question for discussion. I recently stumbled upon the Tip of My Joystick subreddit. I wasn't familiar with this, but it's kind of cool. Said it's where people go to find the name of a game that they used to play but can't remember. And he was wondering, have you ever had any trouble remembering a game that you used to play for a long time? And if so, where have you ever been able to figure out what that game is? For me, it was one childhood friend had what I remember to be a Sonic game with a bunch of other characters from the Sonic series, but I had no idea what console or even what type of game it was. I only had played Sonic the Hedgehog on the Genesis, and at that point, it looked like something different and fun. Unfortunately, I never figured it out. I thought this might be fun for you guys to talk about. So I've never heard of this subreddit. It's clever. Tip of the joystick, right? Tip of the tongue type thing. Have you ever had an experience like this where you're trying to remember the name of a game and it's just not coming to you?
Oh, absolutely. There's a game that I have in my memory. I was given it as a gift during Christmas. It's certainly in the late 90s. It had to have been. And I remember playing it in between sessions of Roller Coaster Tycoon. So that'll probably give you an idea of the era. And it was a PC game, a full motion video game that I believe, and maybe this is wrong, but had Tim Curry in it, I want to say, but I don't remember. And it was a point and click adventure with mummies, and it took place in Egypt. And I don't know. To this day, I have no idea what this game is. And I maybe am making it up out of whole cloth. I don't know. But it's always bothered me, and nobody ever talks about anything even similar to this game. And I just wish it's totally possible my mind is just making this up, but I would love to know if anybody has anything even close to this, because maybe Tim Curry wasn't a part of it. Maybe there weren't even mummies. I'm pretty sure it was very mummy themed. But
might not have even been full motion video. It might not have even been point and click. I don't know.
I might have never played it. But if you have any idea of what I'm talking about, please tell me, because I would really love to know what this game was. I think it was... Go ahead.
I feel like you need to post this in the Tip of the Joystick subreddit.
Yeah,
see if
maybe I should.
Crowdsource it.
Yeah, I had one. I had to actually think about this. There wasn't really anything that sprung to mind, and then I realized that there was this racing game back on the N64, that I would play in between Mario and Zelda and whatnot. And it was an arcade car racing game, and you could unlock the tracks and the vehicles as normal. The sort of fastest and the last car that you unlocked was a van that you drove. For some reason, it was like the best of the vehicles. The thing that was kind of weird and unique about this game was its physics were really bad, in the sense that it was actually quicker to just slam into the side of the road where it had like a guardrail and just grind around the guardrail rather than actually trying to take the corner properly, because the guardrail would just take you there and you wouldn't lose any speed. So it was a pretty bad game, but I can't work out what it is. I did actually have a quick Google around, and I just couldn't work it out. It was also like you could unlock, like there was mirror versions of the tracks, but there was also like a mirror decal for your vehicle, so you get the whole thing sort of shiny and mirrory. But that's about all I remember from it. I guess I never really bothered chasing it up because I didn't really think it was that good a game. But I still don't know what that game is, even after looking at the list of racing games on N64. So I probably won't bother posting it on my joystick, because I actually don't really care to know what it is. But it is one that I sort of would be curious. Anyway,
all I can think of, like, in that same kind of vein, was the silver bus unlock from Cruisin' USA. And that is that was like a later game unlock, but I don't think that's the same thing that you're talking about.
It wasn't that. It wasn't the Cruising USA.
Interesting. So the biggest things that always confused me, and it was a game I had always brought up, and it was that the boat racing game that was on the Nintendo where you had shot dudes and there was that Sea Dragon stuff. They released it on Rare Replay. It was Cobra Triangle. So they answered it for me with Rare Replay's release, but I remember that one where it's like, oh yeah, I had that awesome game back in the day. The other obscure game, and the only reason it hasn't slipped from the annals of my memory, is because it's one of those point and click games, and when you click on something that you don't interact with, they had a voice actor saying, "Willie Beamish doesn't want to play touchy feely with that," and you would play that constantly. And it was The Adventures of Willie Beamish. That is just this obscure, back in the day with those where point-and-click adventures were just a dime a dozen, and that was one I had some really fond memories of my friends and I, essentially crowdsourcing that to solve it. But yeah, you'd be clicking around because it was all that pixel perfect precision where you needed to, is that, can I click on that? Can that? Willie Beamish doesn't want to play touchy-feely with that.
Willie Beamish. Yeah.
So, yeah, and it was like it was like an 8-year-old kid, and he just was constantly getting killed because, you do stuff that you can't, right? Like, oh, there's a bear over there. Well, I have this peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Maybe he'll eat that. Nope, he ate me. Yep, I'm dead. Yep, that's how that worked. I have a can. Will the can work on him? Nope, he eats you. Like, just the trial and error of trying to figure that thing out. I love those games. Next question, Chosen Last says, hey, I was wondering with the recent the competition on TA, do you all plan out a game for those events or just wing it? Because personally, I try to plan ahead, but lose steam about, just when the event gets going and just kind of wing the rest. Hey, keep up the hard work on the podcast. It's my favorite, and I can't wait till Wednesday morning to listen. So we've mentioned at the beginning of the show, my approach, plan. What about you guys?
I'm definitely a wing it person, and that's I think pretty much we touched on that earlier as well. But yeah, I just look at my list and go, yep, I've got 11 billion achievements that I can unlock. What's the easiest one? And away I go. Proulx?
Yeah, no, it's same for me. I'm obviously not a planner. I apparently had 3 bonuses that I could have used to stay in G-Task and did not do that because I don't plan ahead more than 5 minutes. So I'm more of a...
I will admit the 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th of the month, that is wing it territory, where it's like I had an N, that I really wanted this month. I wanted to finish Nicktoons, but I'm just going to do a Neo Geo game or something. I don't know, whatever. Even though they'll start with A. I get it. Don't try to correct me. Anyway, next question. Foo Cuddly Poof comes back and he says, okay, so I'd like to get everyone's thoughts on boosting. I know this has been brought up in the past, but what's the difference between cheating for some achievements and completing games and loading up something that someone has already done to get those achievements, like in Minecraft? Is that cheating? How is loading a world in Minecraft and getting the completion any other different way than just cheating the system and completing the game with like game saves back in the early days of the 360? And so then he mentions the Proulx G-Test thing. But so this came up in chat.
Wait. I think we need to talk about that a bit more.
Proulx G-Test.
Believe it or not, I actually lost. I'm out still. I know.
How? You're so pro.
I could have stayed
MLG.
in.
ML Proulx.
Anyways. Wasn't there something else we need to talk about?
So this came up in chat. There's talk because Minecraft came out with the umpteenth title update, and so we've got new achievements to work on. And Tarragon, you've kind of been on a mission the past few weeks, saying you have this uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach that there's going to be some server or some name changes that might affect some of these achievements.
Only with the Xbox One version. And also those new achievements that have come out are actually only come out on the Pocket Edition based versions, which is basically everything that's not Xbox One and Xbox 360.
Sure.
Which also, the Xbox One version may come out with them. The Xbox 360, I think, is actually pretty close to hitting the achievement limit, so it may well not get any further updates, at least achievement-wise. The Xbox One, the rumor is that it was going to go towards the Pocket Edition UWP sort of things, so what that means to the achievements, we don't really know. So yes, I have been trying to knock those out.
So I essentially brought up the topic because, it was people trying to focus on this, and they said, hey, I got a world set up that you can just pop in and all the work's done for you. You just simply have to pull a lever, be here, open a chest, whatever.
Yeah.
Do we feel like that's cheating? How do we as an achievement group feel that
Well, we've covered this topic before, and I just want to address the question a little bit more specifically. The first bit, he mentions boosting. Boosting is actually a very sort of specific term for achievement hunters, in it's usually a group of people getting together to work on multiplayer-based achievements as a group, and that's usually what boosting is about.
Yeah.
For other ones, like, say, the Minecraft ones specifically, they're not like multiplayer specific. and loading up worlds is kind of just part of how you get a lot of those things easily anyway. I don't really feel they're cheating. They're just more shortcuts. Cheating as well is kind of that nebulous. There are lots of different grey areas about what is and what is not cheating and what certain people consider cheating. Getting into a group of 4 people and continually suiciding each other off each other in order to get seriously, that would be considered cheating because it's not really doing what you're supposed to be doing to get that particular achievement. However, it's also the most efficient way to get a stupidly grindy achievement done.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sort of grey areas, and I think where I tend to draw the line or where I tend to sit on it is about where True Achievement sits, which is if you have to actually go sort of outside of the game and outside of the console and outside of the kind of what is the developer mandated kind of area in order to do something, in order to unlock an achievement, then that is cheating. As far as, well, Microsoft can and will clamp down on you, and that will get you potentially banned from TA. So things like game saves fall under that category, as in you need to actually extract your game save, load it up into a third-party program, use that to turn on some flags, re-sign that particular game save. So you actually need to there's an encryption key essentially that validates that save is for the right account. You need to actually re-sign a save and then inject it back into your console. That's clearly cheating. That's not doing anything within the game in order to unlock the achievement. All you're doing there is manipulating a file. With things like the Minecraft worlds, one that's developer supported. They give you methods in order to be able to import those worlds and play those worlds, or play with other people, or join other people's worlds. That's all part of the game. It's all within the game. Also, a lot of those things aren't as simple as just loading the world and getting the achievements. You actually have to go into the world. The world might be set up for it, but you still have to take the actions to do and perform and unlock the achievement. So there's a bit of a difference, I think, between jumping into a Minecraft world that somebody's got set up for it versus going to the full route of game saving. But it's certainly when a lot of the first worlds that were coming out for Minecraft, there were a few questions about the legitimacy of that, and I think it basically came down to the developers are totally fine with it, and if the developers themselves are totally fine with it, then it's kosher, and that's basically where I come to with that particular one.
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
I'm kind of in the same boat, certainly in terms of the definition of cheating. In the case of Minecraft, really, it comes down to what are you trying to get out of it? Because if you're simply just looking for the achievements and you'll do pretty much anything to get them, and you want to find that shortcut, then that's fine, and you will have the score to prove that, but you won't have the personal satisfaction of setting it up and doing it yourself. Now, if you don't care, like I don't care, like, oh, well, I didn't set up this brilliant redstone machine to do everything I want. I don't need that satisfaction. I kind of just want the completion or the achievement or to get it off my tag. Like, so, it comes down to a personal preference thing. So if you're of the mindset, like, well, I personally want to do the work to get it, then by all means, go nuts and avoid using this. You're not forced into, jumping into these worlds to have this happen. So
I guess the other side of that is does it cheapen the achievement though? If the shortcuts are there and can be used, it essentially devalues that achievement. And some would argue it devalues the ratio of that achievement, because what should be a difficult achievement to get because you don't need to do certain things because of this particular shortcut, it's now completely it's simple. So
and that's fair, and that's why I mentioned it's your own personal. I mean, this becomes then a personal feeling on it, because you won't have the stats to back up. Did you do it legit? Is it as difficult as you maybe put time into it? Those things are lost in the ether because it's easier for other people to get it in different ways, and so that'll affect the stats. And so you just have to know personally if that's important to you or not. And to me, it's not a big deal for for Minecraft world, using. Doesn't bother me. Proulx, where do you stand?
Minecraft is a really interesting example for me. I mean, this entire conversation exists well within the gray zone. To me, it's not clear that there's any right or wrong. It is just what is and what you're okay with doing. And Minecraft is good because I spent a lot of time playing Minecraft on the Xbox. Like a lot of time. And generally speaking, I don't go for the achievements when I'm playing Minecraft. I'm just going to have fun. I hang out with friends and it's a good time and it's no problem. But I have friends that have played further than I have, and I go into their game and they have, oh, hey, look, we can go do this right now and I can pop the achievement. Well, is that where the line is drawn? Well, I don't think so. But what if they have a whole world dedicated to achievements that I could just hop in and would that be it's complicated. There's a lot of layers here. No, I am completely comfortable, and I'll say here that playing the Pocket Edition, the Android edition, I just recently imported a save that has all of the kind of the achievements set up for it. And again, it doesn't bother me at all because I play Minecraft a ton, and I'm sure I will continue to play it a ton with friends all over the place. I don't begrudge anyone who thinks that you need to do everything right from the beginning to the end for every achievement you get. I don't have any problem with that. It's not necessarily the way I think. It's fine. There are ways you can, do other things. I don't know. I don't have the right answer. I'm not the guru, or I'm not the standard by which these things are judged. But I don't think that, like Tarragon mentioned, I think the fact that these kinds of things are developer supported, I think definitely goes a long way into kind of establishing what would be normal and what would be kind of outside the realm of acceptability. Yeah,
totally agree. We got a comment here from Mike92. Although there's some numbers, X's, L's, whatever. But Mike, we're happy to have you back. His comment: my return to achievement hunting. So you guys, have you guys ever taken breaks from achievement hunting? He took a break and now he's back. He said, and did you ever take that break and go and play things that you actually like to play? And when you did come back, what brought you back? He said, for me, it was a friend who ended up getting close to his Gamerscore. So I couldn't have him overtake him, so I started scoring again. Have you guys ever taken a break from achievement hunting?
Yeah, 2 memorable episodes where I've taken breaks have been after 24-hour stints of gaming, particularly one for Extra Life a couple of years ago, and the world record attempt. They were very heavy sessions, very intense, and afterwards I just felt burnt out and took a complete moratorium, I think, or a complete break from gaming in general. I don't think I actually even played anything for at least a week after that. So, yeah, I've certainly taken breaks. As to what brings me back, I guess there's a little bit of an interesting assumption made there in that if you are achievement hunting, you're not playing things that you actually like to play, and I don't think that's necessarily true.
I was going to touch on that myself.
Yeah. So, and certainly there are things that I don't like to play that I do play for just the achievements, but there is a hell of a lot I do play just for fun, but I also get achievements out of it. Elite Dangerous, for example. So, yeah, I'm pretty much always have a game on the go that I'm just playing for the enjoyment of. And achievements kind of come as a secondary kind of hobby. So I'm kind of doing both most of the time. Yeah. Yep. As for what brought me back, I think I was just ready to come back, or I was missing playing the game that I was in love with at that particular point in time. I don't remember what it was. So I started getting back on the wagon, and that brought me back into it.
Yeah, I'm the same way, Tarragon. It's that particular comment of playing things you actually like to play, and I think it was a throwaway comment. I don't think he actually meant anything by it, but I do see that from the standpoint of some of the real hardcore achievement hunters, those guys who are putting up crazy numbers, who play literally Barbie's Puppy Rescue and there's like just garbage after garbage after garbage because they want the score. Whereas I'm playing a bunch of indie games, but I like those because they're nice and bite-sized. And, sometimes I get a garbage one. Sometimes I get a real gem. And that's fun to me. And getting achievements is fun to me. And so it might look like I'm playing a bunch of garbage games, but I'm actually really enjoying myself doing that. And as far as games where I've taken a break, I can think of 2 instances as well. And I wasn't much of an achievement hunter back in the day. but they always intrigued me and gave me that sensation. But it was Modern Warfare 2 with where they had all the titles and things. I had played a ton of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and so I had kind of substituted achievements related to Gamerscore and wanted to unlock all the things associated with the Call of Duty guns and emblems and 1,000 kills and doing this and getting the Semtex stick and all that stuff. So I replaced my traditional achievement hunting with these title achievement huntings. And I spent a ton of time on that. And then Destiny. I can get sucked into that world very easily, and you're kind of working toward achievements, but really I'm just messing around, having fun, and not really focusing on achievements. As far as getting me back, usually it's just I'm looking for something new, a change, right? I've mentioned 2 games. I'm not a 2-game kind of guy. I want to go and try some other things, do some other, events or activities. And contests go a long way, right?
Absolutely.
I absolutely love the random to-do list each month. And like this month, I have 2 achievements in Assassin's Creed 3. And it's like, oh, cool, because now, I'm pretty much done with Revelations. I don't think I'm going to go back and clean that up. I'm just going to move on and go to Assassin's. So I was really excited for Assassin's Creed 3.
And syncs up with Games with Gold, too, which is kind
right.
of...
That's right.
Now, unfortunately, I didn't budget any time for it, so I'm not sure it's going to show up this month. But but it's one of those things like, oh, great, everything's kind of lining up, and I'm excited to.
There is an A in the Gamertag challenge.
There is. It's we'll see. Father's Day's in there, and I might try to pull for like an 8-hour gaming session for a Father's Day thing. So. I know it's not Father's Day for you, Tarragon. That's in like September or something dumb. But we have our Father's Day.
And also, I'm not a father as well, which is the other.
Yeah, also might have something to do with it.
That's pretty critical. That's pretty critical. So
every day is Tarragon's Day.
I didn't know. We should start.
What about you, Proulx? Do you ever take a break?
If you looked at my, Gamerscore over time chart, it's essentially a series of peaks and valleys. There were times that I cared and times that I didn't care. I mean, I was always playing, always playing. You never stopped. But sometimes I would go back and finish stuff I did before. Sometimes I just started playing a bunch of new stuff. It wasn't until the past, 2 years or so that I really, really started to get into it. So in a way, yeah. I mean, I've always played what I wanted. And what I want now is to play for, to play for achievements. That's what I want to do now, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying it. Even if it's, I play some bad games, but I don't play all bad games. But I do it generally for fun in every kind of way that I can. So I think I've kind of found my equilibrium.
Yeah.
Actually, this kind of touches on a topic that I kind of wanted to talk about a bit for a while, about what we actually get from achievements.
Sure.
And how, and this is more getting kind of personal with me, but I've suffered from depression for many years, and when you're in the midst of depression, it's often really helpful if you can accomplish something. Just having something that you continually are working towards and achieving is just a little bit of a boost, and it's just a little bit of a sort of a high, I guess, or it's just something to bring you kind of out of the stupor that you're in.
Yeah.
Achievement hunting has always been something that I've kind of come back to because it's something I can keep working towards, and I get that little pop and I can unlock something else and unlock something else. Even those little things might just be meaningless or they're really trivial things to unlock in a game or whatever, they have a good kind of effect on my mental health as well, just for the sake of it. So there's a lot of reasons I come back to gaming, and I think that when I'm in a sort of a darker place as well, that's another reason that I kind of focus on achievements, because it gives you that thing to focus on, firstly, to focus on something that's not my own head. And I get that feeling of achievement that continually comes up.
I appreciate you sharing that. I feel the same way. It's when you're in that mode of, because typically video games do a really wonderful job, better than most other mediums I can think of, in rewarding you for the amount of effort you put into it. And I think I've made this comment before, like with work. You know, I've been busting my butt for the last 3 months at work, and they do a silly thing where you get it's like a game ball, right? Like, hey, congratulations, here's a $100 gift card. You've really gone above and beyond, and we really appreciate your efforts. And it's like, I'm putting in some crazy hours, doing some really awesome things. I don't get nominated because nobody's looking, nobody's paying attention. And so then, if I sit on my duff and set up a gaming plan for the month of June and I write a particularly nice memo, hey, great job on that memo. Yeah, it took me 2 hours to do. Like, that's woo! Like, and you're not rewarded for what you're putting into it. Whereas something like, I'm just grinding on this boss. I just cannot beat him. I cannot overcome him. And then, bam, you get that moment where, he didn't hit me that time. Oh my God, I still have enough life. Here we go. Yes! And you get that epic win moment, that you've put in so much of your heart and soul to get that achievement, and then bam, when it hits, you're just overcome with emotion. And granted, not all achievements are going to be as exciting and wonderful as it is, but even the smallest ones, the little note of the little cheers, the little toast is just a, hey, nice job. You did exactly what you're trying to do there. Or in the instances of surprises, hey, nice work. Way to go. You get a little bonus for now you weren't even trying. It's like, that does feel good. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's just a constant sort of progression and achievement. To coin the word, it's the achieving the achievement is the achievement itself.
It's not the destination, it's the journey.
There you go.
It is the destination, really. The destination is the achievement.
It's great having a comment from McLovin Legend. He asks, are there any games you've continued to play after getting the 1K? So for me, it's F1 2016. R56 Cooper S11 also says that F1 is a great game. He's super excited for 2017. What about you guys? Anything you keep playing after the 1K? You keep revisiting?
It has been a while, but back when I was heavily playing Minecraft, that was a game I would just play for the sake of playing. I had my own world, and I was going through and just doing my own thing in that, and I had it all set up with my own little mining area, and I was kind of cleaning out a particular, like just a 64 by 64 bit, I forget, a chunk. I was basically strip mining a chunk of the game to try and get some slimes to pop up. But yeah, so I was doing things in that well after I'd gotten the 1K before they started releasing all the extra achievements. Before that, I can't think of many.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some, but it's been a while.
The two games I mentioned are pretty much the only, like Destiny and Call of Duty 2 were the only ones I can think of because they had a great multiplayer, right? And all the achievements were in single player. Maybe not Destiny so much, but certainly for Call of Duty, I got the 1K in that, and I was like, oh yeah, but all my friends are playing, and you get on and do this, and so those are kind of my games. If there's because I don't like multiplayer achievements, but if it's got a compelling multiplayer and I can play with my friends, yeah, I'm on board with that. What about you, Proulx?
I'm actually sorry. Just one last thing there. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be sticking with Elite Dangerous after I get the completion, just because the achievements don't reflect everything that you can do within that universe. Anyway, there's still a lot to do. There's things to unlock, permits to go to, and that sort of stuff. And there's the sort of end game, which is not related to any achievements so far. So, yeah, I would still be playing that, I'm sure. Sorry, Proulx.
No, it's okay. To cut to the heart of the question, it is like Rocket League. I don't actually have the full completion in Rocket League because I don't care. I mean, I will get it at some point, but even if I had it right now, it would not convince me or prevent me from playing any more Rocket League. I would just be playing just as much Rocket League. And the same thing with Halo. I mean, I play a bunch of Halo with friends and stuff. Like, we're not going for achievements. I'm just playing that game because that's how much I love that game. So to me, it's that sort of thing where it doesn't matter. Essentially, I think the question is asking what games for you do the achievements not matter, and those are the games for me. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I concur. Yeah,
That's a good point.
Elite is the game for me there in that situation, obviously.
So R56 Cooper S11 does have a question. He says, do you think that taking a break from the Assassin's Creed will help reignite the Assassin's Creed series? And what other games do you think have been oversaturated and that their series, with those yearly releases, would going biannual help them? So let's start with the Assassin's Creed part of this. Do you think taking that break is going to, people are excited for Assassin's Creed this year? Assassin's Creed Origins, I believe, is what it's being called.
It won't make them less excited.
True.
Right? So,
I think the better question to ask is, will it be a better game? And I think it will be after the break, to be honest. I think they really misstepped with Unity, and then the game after that, which I forget the name of. Syndicate was a much better game. I think they had 2 studios working on that particular one, and it seemed like there was like an off studio and an on studio. The on studio is getting a good game out, and the off studio is not so much. Yeah. I'm probably besmirking quite a lot of people unfairly there, but that seemed to be the way it was working.
And I think Ubisoft's model is always been like, yeah, you got a core studio, but then once you're in the home stretch, it's like, okay, let's pull in 1,500 people and just get all these pieces mashed together. And so, if you're trying to coordinate between 1,500 people,
big management fallacy.
Yeah, exactly. At the tail end of a project within a short 1-year time frame, then all of a sudden all these pieces have to match, and you maybe lose some of the continuity, or you lose some of what makes the game special, and maybe it feels disjointed. I don't know. Yeah,
so I can't see it not helping Assassin's Creed and it being a better game for having more time to work on it or having that break. And I certainly also think that the market was a bit oversaturated with Assassin's Creed. There was just too many of them too soon, and I suspect the sales reflected that. So for Assassin's Creed, at least, I think it was a very smart move for them to give it a break and give it a year off.
And what I've been hearing, too, is people are actually... I've been hearing a lot of people say, I kind of miss it. I'm excited that there's going to be one this year. Now, of course, they're saying that without seeing anything, right? We don't know what this new one's going to look like, per se. But I think people are ready for a new one, and they kind of missed not having it. But certainly if they had it, they would take it for granted.
Yeah, I think there's a certain period of time that you need to actually feel an absence of something, and I don't think a year is really long enough for that in terms of game releases. I know I'm still playing Assassin's Creed games, and it's taken me longer than a year to get through those kind of things. It's not like I put them down. So then again, I'm not your typical gamer, so who knows? But I feel the yearly releases are a bit much. I guess we kind of always expect the sports games to come out with their yearly releases and updated rosters and so forth. Then again, some have missed a year or two, and maybe that's a good thing. I think the golf series is taking a year off. The Roy McIlroy, what is that? Is that his name? The previously known as Tiger Woods golf series is taking a year off. And and there's a bunch of others in that sort of vein. The fighter series that Crandy loves so much has taken a few years off now. So I guess they just judge it by how the games are selling. In that case, I'm not sure we really need another Gears of War right away.
Yeah, I agree.
And we can probably wait a little while for another Halo. I don't know that we need another Halo this year, but I suspect we may get one. But we'll see. Yeah, I guess. I think a bit more time between releases. I don't think yearly releases are particularly good for most franchises, and they tend to kill them off.
The one I don't feel as egregious with is the Call of Duty franchise. And maybe that's the wrong word, because I do think it's egregious that they're charging what they are for essentially a multiplayer map pack. But I think what is going to do them better in the long run is the fact that, and I'm not sure they're going to do this after World War II that comes out here, but I think they would be really well served to mix up the time periods on their rotating schedule. So, they have 3 different development studios. It would be great to have a historical game, move into a modern era game, move into a future game, and then back to because I think what really grind my gears was the fact that it was like future game after future game after future game, and then Gears of War is out, that's a future game, and Halo's out, and that's a future game, and Destiny's out, there's a future one, and it was so many different people were like, well, future's the way to go, we all have to do that. No, you don't. You just have to make a good game. So maybe by separating yourself and coming up with a different locale, you actually can stand out and show that you're a good game. And I think, again, we have to wait until it comes out and understand what they're actually presenting here. But I think the step for, certainly Battlefield 1, going to World War I was a wonderful step in the right direction. I think World War II for Call of Duty is going to prove to be a good choice on their part. But what are they going to follow it up with? Is it another World War II game? I really hope it isn't. I don't want to see everything saturated with historical shooters again, because I remember what that was like back in the day, and that was miserable. It's like, can't we all just kind of have enough of everything and not say, okay, we need to have... I mean, look at right now, the arena-based... multiplayer games, the Culling that just came out, Player Unknown Battlegrounds. There's so many of these games now that are coming out where it's like one guy you drop in the middle of nowhere and it's a fight to the death. You want to be king of the hill. H1Z1 does one of those. Rust has a mode like that. There's all of the king of the hill modes that are all over the place, and I feel like the market's getting too saturated with stuff like that. People are just saying, hey, this is fun. Everyone wants this, right? So let's just get 30 developers making the same thing. That'll be fun, right? No, that won't be fun. Don't do that.
But don't you want 7 Guitar Hero games in a year?
Exactly. Don't do that. I get that there's money
so
there.
Well
but
last time.
You know what else there's money in? Being the first to do something. Right? Like, why, if you needed to blow your nose and I handed you a box, typically what do people say? Oh, thanks for the Kleenex. They're not saying thanks for the facial tissue. Or, hey,
tell that to the Walkman, Fream.
Oh, hey, I got this scrape on my knee. Do you have a Band-Aid? Well, no, I have an adhesive strip. No, I want to, it doesn't have to be Band-Aid brand, but... that's the thing. Be the first. Rocket League is the first of its kind. And so, Deformers came out, and it's kind of like Rocket League, so it's going to be compared to kind of like Rocket League. And if you come up with, Battle Squids, that's probably a bad example because it's Splatoon, but, they're going to say, this plays a lot like Rocket League. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun, just like Rocket League is. Because they're doing, and they're not even doing anything that's that remarkably different. It's just the way they presented it is unique, and it stands alone by itself. That's my little rant there. Proulx, why don't you...
Bit of a tangent there.
Why don't you take me out of this? You have any comments on Assassin's Creed wise? I do think that I missed it. I'm excited for it to come back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't play a lot of... I guess I do not appreciate the yearly franchises and stuff. There's nothing that I play year to year, so it's not a big deal to me. But I do appreciate, give games more time to grow, to breathe. Of course, if you're going to make an Assassin's Creed game every year, I was a big fan of Assassin's Creed early on, from 1 up to 3, and I never played 3, which... maybe I'll have the opportunity now that it's on Games with Gold. But, I was a big fan of the series up until then, and then I just dropped off. I didn't even play... I played Black Flag when that became Games with Gold, and that was awesome. But from my understanding, it's because it actually did something different and something new and took this concept and ran with it. So...
yeah, sort of. You'll see a lot of... sorry, this is going way off track. But, Assassin's Creed 3 actually was what introduced the boat concept.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
That was Black Flag that took it and run with it from there. I'll be interested to see what you think of Assassin's Creed 3 because it got a lot of criticism, particularly for the protagonist. I actually really enjoyed Assassin's Creed 3 and I thought the story was very strong. But a lot of people really didn't like it and didn't get into it. So I'll be interested to hear your take on it if you get to it.
Yeah, well, and that actually kind of goes to the point of the entire question is, yeah, maybe 3 is good or bad or whatever, but maybe, you know, if 4 took the best parts of 3, and a lot of people don't like 3, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, like, maybe it is beneficial to kind of not do that every year. Take the best parts of these in-between games that you would have, put them into the next game. There's no reason to do it all the time.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Assassin's Creed 3 as well is that they just came off the break from releasing 4 Ezio-based games, essentially, or 3. So, yeah, they kind of had a success in Assassin's Creed 2, then they did Brotherhood, then they did Revelations, which was basically a non-revelatory game, which was derivative, and yeah, it was fun, but a complete waste of space as far as the story goes. And then they did Assassin's Creed 3. Everybody was in love with Ezio, and so the transition from Ezio to what was a very stoic, serious character, whereas Ezio was not. I think that's what threw people off. And then the shift to Black Flag, going back to that kind of swashbuckling kind of non-serious character. And that's, I think, why a lot of people like Black Flag.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's getting off topic.
There we go. Here's another question, which is likely to take us off topic, but it's from Lord Chabello. He asks, I recently unlocked the Extreme Altitude achievement in Microsoft Solitaire Collection while at Rocky Mountain National Park while going up 2 miles above sea level. He says, did this totally by coincidence, but have you guys ever had an appropriate unlock or meaningful unlock like that? So that's kind of cool. He happened to be on the peak of a mountain, unlocking extreme altitude. I like it.
It's pretty cool that he did it just completely by accident, too.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I can't think of any instance for myself, but I think, was it Randy who got a mile-high completion? I think he did Tiny Plane or something like that whilst in a plane.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so I know he got something like that. Not sure he did it on purpose either. I think it just happened to fall that way.
Yeah. You know what? The only things I can think of is actually, I mean, I plan them, right? I mean, we like to plan milestones. So like my 100,000 or, you know, I pick a specific achievement that I go for. So those are meaningful, but certainly not coincidental. Those are absolutely planned. But I can't think of anything.
It's actually, for my example, is more ironic than coincidental because and we talk about this a lot here on the show, but so you'll forgive me, but I got the Bladder of Steel achievement. How do I put this delicately?
Whilst on the toilet?
Very shortly. Okay. So, I actually did it legit, and I obviously it was a long time, and I had to relieve myself. And I was in the second story bedroom at the time, middle of winter, right? So I knew nobody was going to be outside below me. So I actually
I can see where this is going.
I actually had to relieve myself outside my second story window, very shortly before getting the Bladder of Steel achievement.
Bladder of not quite steel.
No, not quite steel, but steel enough where I still got the achievement. So.
Wow,
that's awesome.
I think that actually tops my toilet with the microphone story. But anyway.
Oh, I can't even top that. I'm going to just totally change topics here. We had Randy actually got a comment from Crunchflake, and he it's a glowing review. We appreciate this. He says, Randy, I've just recently found the Z2Z podcast thanks to the guys at True Achievements. They mentioned the Z2Z podcast in one of their podcast sessions, and he started off with episode 72 about the good, bad, and grindy achievements, and enjoyed it extremely. It's interesting to hear that there are many people out there who have similar feelings about achievements like me. I just wanted to drop you a quick note and say I know about you and your and you guys do a good job with the podcast. Greetings from Germany, Crunchflake. So thank you, sir. I appreciate that. That's super nice to hear. And yes, there are many of people around here like you. So
there's a whole website about it.
So we hope you enjoy.
That was nice to know. I think he probably came to us off the back of Rich mentioning us on. I'm not sure what episode of True Achievements podcast, but he mentioned our interview with Rich. Rich was on the show a while back, so
yeah,
that's where he came to us from.
Yeah. I got 2 questions left here. One from T-Virus Tyrant. This is a quick one because I think I touched on it a bit last episode. He says, "Hey, what do you guys think would make a zombie game would make a great movie?" And what Hollywood stars or actors from that are in the game would be in the movie? So, like Left 4 Dead, right? If you think that would make a great movie, and pick a couple of actors you think might be a good one. Now, for me, as far as a video game property made into a movie, I think State of Decay is the way to go, because you can then really focus on character development and just have the external, zombie threat that's out there, but really drive some of those human interest stories that people can relate to. As far as characters, I mean, that's an ensemble cast. You could really come up with a wonderful collection of colorful characters or interesting people. Now, because it's a video game movie, it's probably going to be a bunch of garbage actors who are overly caricatured, and they're going to ruin it. But while you guys pitch your ideas, I'll see if I can come up with some actors I'd like to see. Do you have a zombie game that you'd like to see made into a movie?
I do. You mentioned it kind of in passing, but I think Left 4 Dead would make a great zombie movie. And I'm going to give you kind of okay. So this is fantasy casting, right? Essentially. So I'm going to say that playing Bill will be Sean Connery.
Oh, Gary Busey.
No, sorry.
Do you know how old Sean Connery is?
That's
now?
the thing. Okay, so Sean Connery in the 90s, I guess I should say, to clarify.
Just total aside here. Roger Moore, right, replaced Sean Connery.
Yep.
Right. And you'd think that they would do that. They would do that because they need a younger actor because the previous actor is getting a bit older or whatever. Did you know Roger Moore was actually older than Sean Connery?
Didn't he just?
He just died, and I just looked up the ages, and it's like Sean Connery's younger than Roger Moore by about 3 or 4 years or something like that.
Yeah, he just passed away.
Blew my mind.
It's like, what? It's too bad.
Anyway, I mean, it's sad that Roger Moore passed.
Right.
He was a kind of interesting, funny guy when he talked about Bond. Anyway, but it was interesting.
Okay,
sorry. Total aside.
So Lewis should be played by Idris Elba, of course.
Sure.
Very handsome, attractive man. I think that. Oh my goodness, I can't remember her name.
Michelle Rodriguez. Oh no, this.
No, what is? No, what is her
Kelly
name?
Clarkson.
No, the actual character in the game.
The character in the game. What is her name
Zoe.
in the game? Zoe. Thank you.
Zoe.
I couldn't think of Zoe. Zoe should obviously be played. Wow, no, I can't even think of the actress's name. Hold on.
Kelly Clarkson?
Zoe Deschanel.
Not Zoe Deschanel. Oh.
Idris Elba.
Ellen Page.
Okay.
And who's the last character that I haven't...
It's funny you mentioned Ellen Page. Anyway.
Who is the last character? Okay, so I said Bill, I said Lewis, I said Ellen...
the trucker guy, right? Is that... Or am I thinking of the different Left 4 Dead? Nick. No,
Nick?
That's the suit guy from the first game.
Yeah, that's Left 4 Dead 2.
Or 2.
Yeah. Nick is the, smarmy kind of guy from the second game. Okay. Bill...
Isn't it Trucker Hat guy?
There's no Trucker Hat guy in Left 4 Dead 1.
Well, there must be 2 I'm thinking of.
Yeah. We have Bill. Francis.
People are yelling at...
Francis.
You didn't say Francis before.
Francis. He doesn't have a trucker. He doesn't have a hat. He's more of a biker than a trucker. He's got the leather jacket.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Francis would be. I don't know. God, I don't know who would we pick for Francis. You could pick anybody for Francis. He's super generic, but
yeah, he is.
Those three people, I felt very strong.
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler. No, God, don't pick Adam Sandler for your serious zombie movie. But that would be very interesting, I think.
Pick the dude from Scrubs. God, I forgot his name. Not Zach Braff. The doctor, Perry. Oh, it's killing me that I can't remember his name.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
He's a good character actor. He could do that. Or if you wanted comedy, you could go with like a William H. Macy. I think I'm going to put William H. Macy in my State of Decay game.
You go then.
Yeah, he's going to go in there. And I think main character, because of appeal, is got to be Bradley Cooper. I think he'll be the main protagonist just because he's likable. I can see him wearing, kind of like the flannel shirt and still making it look good and stuff. So I think he'd be the main guy. You can. He does
find a good raccoon, I hear.
Yeah, he could be Rocket Raccoon. I think the antagonist would be the guy from The Patriot that who always plays the bad guy. It seems. I think he would just be a good guy to get under people's skin. So he would be the internal antagonist, always plotting against. Yeah, so there you go. That's mine. What about you, Tarragon? You got anything?
Yeah, I can't really think of zombie games that I would like to see as movies that haven't already been made into movies. Like Dead Rising has already got a movie series, essentially. So that was kind of the first thing I thought of, and the rest I sort of... I don't know, I'm afraid to say this on this show, but I think I'm actually a little bit over zombies as a theme.
That's why State of Decay works, because it's not really zombies, it's people.
So I sort of thought outside the box a little bit and thought, well, okay, people have talked about Last of Us having this amazing story, and that should be sort of something, and that's kind of zombie-themed-ish, I think, sort of. It's kind of got that sort of vibe to it. And that's what also made me think Ellen Page, just because it seems like they modeled the female character in that game off Ellen Page without kind of asking her.
Yeah, right.
In fact,
yeah. So, I wouldn't know who'd play the other characters, though. I don't know enough about the game to really comment. But yeah,
fantastic.
Ellen Page came to mind.
We have our last question, and this is my personal question of the week. I absolutely love this one. From Mitreal B, again, congratulations on your A to Z being number one completion on that. But his question is, you rub your magic Cronus Max and the achievement genie pops out. He tells you can unlock 2 locked achievements you have on your tag. Afterwards, your memory will be completely wiped and you will forget that the genie happened and believed that you unlocked them legitimately. What achievements do you choose and why? So I love the setup of this question. It is just brilliant. So 2 achievements, and you actually think you legitimately did these when all is said and done. Do you have anything in mind?
The True Tyrant from Decimals?
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking too. That's the Jitterbug one, right? Defeating Jitterbug?
Yeah. Yep.
That's on my list too. And then I'll be playing like games like Sign Mora or some other bullet hell and be like, man, how come I can't do this? Like, I beat Jitterbug. How come I can't get this to work?
The other one would be it's the True Champion thing from Graw. I don't know. I could deal with legitimately thinking I did that one.
I'd like one, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, nor can I easily find one. But I'd like one where, like, you have to unlock a previous achievement to get that other one, right? Like one of those, you unlocked all achievements in the game, yet I still have a missing achievement before that. Because I think that would just be like,
so it's legit, man.
What the hell's going on here? Like, how did I get this one but not that one? Yeah. So I'd like that. I think that because that would just be ridiculous. What about you, Proulx? You got anything?
I don't. Man, I mean, I can think of a bazillion. I don't.
Pick one. Well, 2.
Oh, damn. This is.
Don't think about Pokemon.
You've captured all 547 Pokemon. No.
Isn't there like 783 or something now?
No,
How many
it's over
800 something.
A series platinum of collecting every single Pokemon across every single Pokemon game.
Well, here's the thing. Up until very recently, I would have had that achievement if it were an actual achievement. Anyways, no, to me, I can't think. I mean, there are many that I can think of that I really, 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 really want. The one that really sticks in my mind and bothers me a lot is this Oblivion achievement, because I love the Elder Scrolls series, and this is what. So I'm very obsessive about saving now.
Yeah.
Like I save literally every 5 minutes. Like, oh hey, I'm walking down the street, nobody's attacked me. It's been a good couple minutes. I should probably save. Not just save over what I've saved, but make a new save in case I need to come back to the save to save. And this is the reason, was because when I was playing through Shivering Isles, there's a choice that you have to make, and there are 2 separate achievements you can get, and I didn't make it. I made one choice and didn't save anywhere near recently where I could have possibly made the other thing. And at the time, at the time, achievements weren't that bothersome to me. But even to this day, it bothers me to my bones that I don't have this other achievement. I have to go back through the entire game and play, which is fine, but it's tough to go back and justify playing a whole game for one DLC achievement. So that's probably the one I would. That's probably the one I would pick.
I'm surprised, Fream, that you didn't mention that achievement from Halo. Is it Halo Reach, the one you can't get for assassinating someone off?
I forgot about that. Yeah, assassinating the dude. That's right.
Yep.
God, that's the worst.
It's your nemesis.
I forgot about that one. Oh, awesome. Do you guys have any differences for question of the week? Anybody that stands out to you? I personally just love that last one. I don't know if you had.
Yeah, that one did stand out. Not just for being last, but just for being inventive.
Clever.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I mean, I will give honorary mention to Foof, because I wasn't on last week. You know, I mean, it's still an amazing kind of concept that we have to talk about that. But yeah, totally. For this week. That was the
Kill Your Babies question from last week. Yep. I also give him props for this week as well. The conversation about cheating and boosting and all of that stuff. Although we have covered it before, it's always an interesting topic and it's always controversial. So I think we'll talk about it again. For sure.
Awesome. Well, let's start wrapping up the show here. We have our last good segment here of Knobs and Discos, the home for unobtainable and discontinued achievements. Tarragon, why don't you take the lead on this bad boy?
Yeah, sure. All right, well, this is going back a little while, so some of this one of these may be fixed. The Other Side of Dawn achievement in Gems of War was an unobtainable. I'm not sure if they've patched that. They may have, but that was unobtainable at the time. I think this was mentioned last week, actually. Vendetta from Zeros was fixed. Was that something?
Yeah, we mentioned that last show.
Yep. All right, so yeah. Master Journalist from Dead Rising 4, then Windows 10 was fixed. And Kerbal, the Kerbal Space Program has had a bunch of glitched achievements for ages, but some news came out recently that Take-Two have actually bought the game, and that there are Xbox and PlayStation patches coming for that game, or they were being worked on. So an interesting thing there as well is it actually got delisted from the marketplace temporarily, at least we would say. So Take-Two are taking over that, and we'll see what happens as to whether those achievements become obtainable after that.
I don't know if you saw my one of my predictions is an E3 announcement of Grand Theft Kerbal, and so
I can see it.
Nice.
Just so you know, I think that's coming. All right, last one.
Yeah. the Goat Edition DLC for GTA 5.
There you go.
Crossover. The new Minecraft achievements that just came out, they aren't unlocking properly on some platforms at the moment. Now, that may just be it's very new. It only came out in the last day or so, so it may just be teething issues with those achievements. But the person it's Showtime, who sets up a lot of the worlds for people to unlock those achievements, has actually specifically said that he's done exactly the same thing across different versions of it, and unlocks on one when it should, and on about 3 other versions it doesn't, when he does exactly the same thing. So there is something up with those achievements. So keep an eye on that one. Hopefully that'll get fixed up pretty soon, though.
Cool. I got real quick zombie news I want to touch on. It was this week, Wednesday, actually. I participated in Zombie Laser Tag, actually. There was a kind of a traveling group that would go around. They'd find, they'd take an empty warehouse space and build an indoor course that they would then populate with zombies and send you in with realistic looking assault rifles that were laser guns. And the zombies had headbands on where the sensors were, so you had to shoot these things in the head with your assault rifle here. And it was super fun to go in there. I'm shocked with how tactical I felt like I was. Again, I'm probably doing dumb things running through a door and checking my sides, but not really doing it properly or whatever. I'm sure trained military people would look at me like a total idiot. But I ended up going with so it was myself, my niece, and her fiance. And so it was funny to hear my niece, who was walking in between us. I'd take point. My I guess he'll be my nephew-in-law, was at the end watching the rear, and she was still freaking out. And so they did things they would put mannequins up dressed like zombies, and it was really dark, and so you couldn't tell what you were. And she shot so many mannequins, and then if there was a zombie coming out, right, you had some range on your guns, and so you could put them down, and their head would blink red. It'd hit the lights off, and it looks like blood was coming out of their head, and so they'd go down. And they kind of had an internal clock where they would come back if you spent too long in a specific area. And so my niece was the queen of double tap. I would take one down and she'd sit there and put another 6 or 7 bullets into it just to make sure it wasn't moving. I did. So I wore my heart rate monitor, the one, for when I work out, just to kind of see. Now, granted, the suspense was probably more than the actual being scared or anything. I probably worked myself up more than anything, but I had a pretty decent heart rate going, just from tension and stuff. And then, and I will admit there were 3 jump scares where it's there was this dark window, and I knew somebody was in there, but I was like, okay, look, I'm point. I feel like they're going to jump out at the girl in the middle, and they totally got me instead. And good one, guys, good one. And then there was one where the dude, there was a car parked inside, and they were wandering on one side of the car, and the car created a barrier, and so you had to pass on the other side of it. And the zombie jumped on the hood of the car and jumped at me and kind of bolted at me. That got me going because I was not ready for that. But it was fun. I really enjoyed it. So that's my little zombie nugget for the week there. And I think that's about it for the show. So, let's sign off. Where can everybody find you, Tarragon?
Twitter is probably best, at ZZ Urban Spaceman. You can also find me on our forums and on True Achievements with under the same name, ZZ Urban Spaceman, all one word.
Fantastic. And Proulx?
Twitter is the best place as well. You can find me there at OneUpDan. That's the number 1, not the word.
Awesome. And I've been Freamhole. That's Twitter, of course, at FREAMWHOLE. And I know we mentioned at the top of the show, we're shutting down the Z2Z Discord channel. You are more than welcome to come to my personal channel if you're interested at discord.me/Freamhole. Again, that's going to be a lot of the boosting sessions I'm involved in, general chat, stuff like that. You're more than welcome to come and hang out with me, but it's not related to the show. So there you have it. Stick around for the end of the show. We'll talk about all the amazing contests we have for the month of June, and should be wonderful. So On behalf of on Proulx and Tarragon, this has been Brandon, and thank you so much for listening. And to all you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, we'll catch you next episode.
Sayonara.
Bye, everyone.
Hey everybody, it's Community Roundup time. It's the start of a new month. We're in June now, and so all the new contests are up and running. I want to touch on GTA SC before we get too heavy into what's going on at the Z2Z forums. Of course, we have the Great True Achievement Score Challenge. We just finished up period 21. And in the team side of it, we have 66 teams remaining. And we had 2 near misses. The team of Fart Barf, of a Big L, M, Stoosh, Smiddle, and Toad. They're about 100 TA and 2 spots away from elimination. Way to dodge that bullet. And the Achievement Hounds podcast, which is the home of NBA Kirkland, a brand new Discord member. They secured the last spot with 40 TA, protecting them from elimination. However, the same cannot be said from Gamerscore Overdose, which is Lord Chabello's team. They went down in dramatic fashion, essentially all going on vacation and putting up nearly no points. Lord Chabello, big point scorer on his team. It sounds like they all went on a fishing trip or something. So too bad for the elimination. Good luck to everyone that's still involved. As far as the individual goes, we are down to 194 individuals, so sub 200 here. We had a couple of near misses in period 21. Saucy Slingo dodged the bullet by about 100 points and 12 spots, but Geek Squad cut it even tighter, 9 spots and only 49 TA, keeping him alive. Unfortunately, we had some eliminations as well, and there were 3. Shabobble, he went down by about 100 TA. He was below the cutoff line. Big L missed it by just 45 TA. And the tightest of margins, Matriarch, only 15 TA. That is like 1 achievement. Bummer. Sorry to hear that. You 3 are out. Good luck to everyone that's still involved. Hey, like I said, it's June. We are on. Random to-do lists are up. We only have 3 months, June, July, and August, to finish this 12-month period. At that point, we will crown a champion for the year-long random to-do list and then begin again. Now, I know Tarragon and I have been kind of kicking around how that's going to, if we're going to just go straight into another year, if we're going to change the format at all. Let's just say each month you're going to get your 25 achievements. It's just how do we structure it as a contest as a whole? That is still up in the air. So, for me, who's non-competitive in the overall scheme of things, I just love getting my lists. So don't worry, they're not going anywhere. But we only have 3 months, the home stretch here, on how it looks. We'll take a kind of a bird's eye view of how this thing went over the full year. I know some people, you had some off months. Some people didn't get started until late. So how can we better suit it for everyone to stay involved and continuing? Because this is my favorite contest that we have. So I want it to continue. I want it to be bigger, better, and more fun. And so we'll just see what we can do. But if you've got your lists up, good luck for this month. Remember also, so Tarragon points out he changed some of the functionality. If you look on the spreadsheets, they'll show you how many achievements you have in your possible pool. Remember, we do need at least 500 in this iteration of the contest. That likely will go up next time, although nothing's been decided yet, but... And by next time, I mean next year-long session. The next 3 months, nothing's changing. You've got, you can hold serve and do what you need to do. As far as the A to Z challenge, of course, True Achievements right now is running an A to Z challenge. You get 1 opportunity to go from A to Z in successive achievements. Of course, there can be gaps in there, but you obviously cannot unlock the B unless you have the A. And you work your way down to Z, and that's where True Achievements ends. And they have some awesome functionality and tracking on the website. You should totally take advantage of that. The Z to Z one, not so much. It goes the full month of June, whereas TA ends on June 26th. The Z to Z one goes full month all the way to June 30th, and you can repeat the list as many times as you need. So if you get to Z, start back over at A, and every achievement you unlock will put your name into the raffle. So completing the cycle once gets you 26, and then if you get some more after that, you just add to that 26. So keep up the good work on that. I think I'm on H right now, and I've got this laid out. I am on track, guys. Not with my completions, but I'm on track with my unlocks. The gamer tag for the month of June is Giant Hunger. It's a nice 11-letter mix of different random games that should be available. U might be a problem. I's are always tricky. E, those are always challenging. Remember, those also fall into the rare side of things, and so you don't actually have to unlock anything. Now, granted, you only get one entry into the pool, but simply make a request, and starting this month too, Tarragon has implemented the code so you can just simply say, I did it. In the Z2Z forum, that's at forums.z2z.com. Just say I did it, and we will add your gamer tag to the automatic scan, and bloop, there you go. You're submitted into the scanner. Nice and easy, painless. It's brilliant. That's exactly what we'll be doing moving forward, because it's a little daunting to post all those links. It can be annoying at times. I know with putting the MOCAS, it's kind of fun because it's like a word find, doing all the ones for May with the Star Wars crawls, but it took a long time, and a lot of people don't have that amount of time. Now, the MOCAS for June, of course, I mentioned last show, it wasn't up, but I said, I have a feeling it's going to be E3 related. Oh my gosh, I'm like, I should have put that on my E3 bingo card. It is E3 related, and it's very clever. It's simply entitled E3. And the rule is you need to unlock an achievement with exactly 3 E's in the achievement name. So it has to be 3, individual letter E. One of the most prominent examples is in the Halo Master Chief Collection, where the achievement is simply EEE. It can't get any simpler than that. But maybe one like there be poop. Right? There has 2 E's and B has 1 E, and so there's your 3 E's, and you can submit that. Determined. I unlocked the one Determined. That has 3 E's. You'd be surprised how many have 3 E's in them. And I totally recommend really taking your time and looking, because your brain does this funny thing where it looks at the word the, and it doesn't track that there's an E there. Same thing with the word of. Now, this is totally unrelated, but like, you don't count the letter F in the word of for some reason if you're looking at a big paragraph. Anyway, make sure you do your due diligence, count the E's, and find ones that have 3 and exactly 3. Not 3 or more, exactly 3. Other than that, we mentioned at the top of the show, Discord for the Z2Z community is ending, but Discord over at my personal chat, discord.me/freamhole. I'm going to carry the mantle for my own personal boosting sessions, LFG groups, and so if you're interested in migrating over that way, type in that address into your URL, and it's a public open one. You can just come and visit at any time, but I absolutely recommend you do that, and come and hang out in my Discord chat. And we can talk contests, we can set up boosting sessions to try and get these achievements. My Zombie Army Trilogy group helped me get one of my letters, the letter E for Elite Pickpocket. So it was great. I so appreciate it. So it's an awesome community that I'm working on setting up. Again, unrelated to the podcast. We're gonna start over from scratch at some point. But I'm starting over right now with my own personal channel. So please visit me. Other than that, I think that's it for the month. keep cracking on those lists, keep chipping away, and do not forget to post in the forums, letting us know that you have successfully completed whatever the task is. And if you guys have any suggestions for contests or things you'd like to see or suggestions on how to make things better, improve them, let me know. Because I would love to, I love the brainstorming between my role as the community events team manager over at TrueAchievements.com and, of course, the contest and host of the Z to Z podcast. I have plenty of opportunities to provide contests for these awesome communities that we have within the achievement hunting world. So do not be shy. You will get full credit for your ideas. I'm not anybody who goes and steals stuff from others. I will absolutely give you credit if it's a great idea, and I would love to collaborate with you on making these contests a reality. So we'll do what we can. Let me know. You can, message me privately. You can come chat with me on my Discord channel or find me on Xbox Live, wherever. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you love being a part of the community and continue to visit forum.z2z.com for all of our monthly contests. And with that being said, hey, I guess one more contest I should mention. The Fream Holes Completion Challenge is still going. So it's a year-long thing to get, I think it's 30 completions. Look at the individual themes. There's a link in the forums. Remember, you can just go to the magnifying glass and type the word active and see what all the active contests are in our illustrious community. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoy the contests. And good luck on your lists. We'll catch you next week.